Hello, this is ClearNite, and you're listening to Guardian Downcast. Join us tonight for some utter incompetency and mutual chaos. Wait a second. Crap, that's the wrong intro. All right. Thanks to listen to Hoot Dog Radio, the official podcast presented by... No, wait. Crap.
Good deal.
That's awesome.
Guardian down.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and thanks for hanging out with us today. Welcome to episode 35 of Guardian Downcast. We're a couple of dads that talk about all things in the Destiny universe. We interview content creators and other folks in our community, to find out more about them, and discuss other gaming and entertainment as well. I'm your host, The Gator, and my co-host, Mr. Hazelnut, is here as well. How you doing, man? I hear you're still fighting illness, not related to COVID-19.
Oh, well, hopefully not. I can't get tested, so I'm assuming it's not, but, hey, it was fun. I went to the doctor. I called my doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, you have some symptoms of it, but not enough symptoms to warrant the test. So I was scratching my head trying to figure out, I'm like, isn't that the purpose of the test?
Yeah,
but,
you would think, right?
But no, it's like we only want to test people who we're sure have it, I guess.
It just tells you they don't have enough tests. Otherwise, they'd be springing tests on everybody.
Yeah. So the doctor's like, hey, just go ahead and self-quarantine for 2 weeks and, just have a good one. So,
wow. Okay.
So, yeah, this is day 4 of self-quarantine with the wife and kid. So it's fun. We've cleared out the cabinets in the kitchen, and we're going to work on the second bedroom and enacted like some chores for my daughter, all that good stuff. So yeah, hey, could be worse. What about you, man?
Yeah, I was laughing because we've got a whole honey-do list starting up as well, starting with painting. I got to paint the house. I got landscaping to do. Today was actually the very first day that Orange County, Florida, this is where Central Florida is, we're on a mandatory stay-at-home order. And I just found out that my business is considered an essential business. So that 2-week vacation, that 2-week video game vacation I thought I was going to have, no. I got to go back to work. So
denied.
It's up to my, it's my choice. It's my business, but I can't, if someone needs pest control services, I'm going to take care of them. So now, of course, I'm getting calls. Now that we're self-quarantined, everyone's calling and going, you going to be out this way tomorrow? I'm like, no, maybe next week. Anyway, I won't bore you with the particulars. But speaking of not boring, we're very excited to introduce our guest to the show tonight. He's a dad who's one of the hosts of the Hoot Dog Radio podcast and an avid Destiny 2 player. Our friend, Mr. ClearNite. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. I gotta admit, I know you've been in our Discord a while, and admittedly, I don't know a lot about you, so I'm looking forward to tonight. So, Speaking of which, let's talk about what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna catch up, of course, and hear ClearNite's story. We're gonna test his Twitch reflexes with our new and improved fast fire session we call the speed run. Next. With the new shelter-in-home situations we found ourselves in, I think it's more important than ever we talk about what we've been watching at home and the games we're playing to get away from all the scary news out there, right? Hazel's also going to go over the TWAB this week. It's a little light. And finally, we're going to answer Twitter and Discord questions from our community and add 2 songs each from everyone here for our Guardian Downcast playlist on Spotify and now iTunes. Hey guys, let's roll. Okay, Mr. ClearNite. I gotta admit, man, I don't know much about you. I'm kind of looking forward to this interview tonight. Tell a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? Where are you from? You have any family? The usual stuff.
Sure thing. No set expectations. Huh?
Well,
So
I'm leaving it open.
no problem. There's probably a few things that'll be like, oh, okay, just usual sort of thing, and then there'll be probably one or two things that'll probably be a little more unique, I should say, about me.
Oh, bring it. We like unique.
I live. I'm 47. Just turned actually 47. So
Okay.
just in the beginning of March. So I'm in my clan. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So I know you tend to have that one of the top distinctions of that. So I think yeah, it's been a long time. I've been on a podcast where I have an elder in presence. So Boomer.
Oh my
You
God. He said fucking
Yeah.
elder, Hazel. Damn, I'm gonna have to end this call, man.
I don't get it very often to do that. So.
Okay, I'll let you enjoy it.
Yeah,
Especially since
exactly.
we have some younger folks in our clan too, and we have a few guys who have their kids on as well. So more
Oh
recently,
yeah.
so I tend to be like talk about different references, and then I can hear sounds like, yeah, you're not getting this. Sorry, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's like nope.
We might have had a show or two like that, right, Hazel?
Yeah, maybe Boomer. Yeah.
Yep.
God, here we go.
And that'll probably be the only time I ever say Boomer because I don't tend to do that one. But
Yeah, I know. Just enjoy it.
yep, no problem.
You'll be 51 one day too. Trust me.
Oh, yeah, getting there. So I live just outside of Philly. I'm in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, so just outside of Philly. Grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, and pretty much have been here my entire life. So grew up here, went to school here, went to university here, etc. So I work in technology. In the beginning, I was a IT support guy, and then a programmer. More recently, as I've been kind of advancing through the years, I'm a director of technology. So basically, I manage the geeks. That's the way I usually put it. I'm like
Very
the Uber,
cool. That's
the Uber
awesome,
geek
man.
or whatever you want to call it. So currently, I work for a company that's a private company, but we do a lot of work for the state and actually for the New Jersey state. It's interesting because I'm not too far from Trenton. So,
Cool.
so we manage a lot of the applications and things like that. So my main, just especially with the last few weeks, typically we do work in an office that's in Trenton, in my location, and we have offices around the country as well for doing work for other state capitals. So the work from home thing wasn't too terrible switch, except there's a few exceptions, and we'll get to those in a minute. It's a little bit of a stretch.
Okay.
So I manage the server environments, and everything is cloud based. So really, even if when I'm in the office, I'm managing stuff through the cloud anyway. So whether I'm here or there, that part of it isn't really a big stretch. It's more the personal,
relationships
and et cetera that you're kind of dealing with on a daily basis in an office setting that's kind of missing. But
Okay.
but I definitely have that. And like I said, I turned 47 just recently, and it was a day that I had my settlement of my old house. So I just recently moved. So I sold my old house on my birthday. My real estate agent found out like, okay, we're gonna try and settle early March. He's like, can we go to like mid March? Because I had a few appointments earlier in the March that we can do. It's like my birthday is on the 11th. It's like sold. We'll do that. And then the settlement of my new home was on the 12th, so the day after. So
Wow.
really, I've only been in this house for a couple weeks. And that's
Wow.
caused a few different things. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm actually recording in a dedicated office again. So I have an office here that's pretty much just been freshly painted and carpeted. So if I get a little bit woozy, get a little more goofy than I usually am, that'll be why. At least that'll be the excuse.
Okay.
So there's that. I've been married for 14 years. It's my first and only marriage, and we have 3 children, and they are triplet boys that are about to turn 5 at the end of May. So
Wow. Triple fives.
yep, triplet 5s. So 2 of them are identical. They're all fraternal triplets, but a set of them are identical. Blonde hair, blue eyes like myself, and one with red head and hazel eyes. The redhead is definitely the firecracker of the group, but they're all 5-year-olds. So you can expect our days are typically good but exhausting. So
Holy shit.
Instant parenthood, man. Wow.
yes, and we didn't have them. I mean, I'm 47 now, so we didn't have them until we were 41, so later in life. So we're kind of in the inverse of yourself, right? So you've had the kids and you're kind of in the later stages of older kids and such. I'm kind of at that earlier stage, so everything you're able to do now, I kind of did up until now. So we kind of
Hey, you know what? The road is long, but in the end, we all go through the same stuff. So
yeah, and I can see that. Like that was one of the things, and the other distinction about it is, they were born just as the early stages of Destiny, like the first part of Destiny. They were born just as House of Wolves was coming out.
That's right.
And
we're on our 5th year, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's interesting because you don't really think about that, but when I go through my Destiny history later, I'll go through that. But it's one of those things I always associate House of Wolves, with my sons. That's so it's kind of an association there, right? Good or bad.
I can see that.
Yep. So a lot of things that we're doing right now is like, we're moving into a new home, a lot of boxes around us, so a lot of things. So my current setup rig is on a card table. I have two monitors and my laptop, and then my desktop below it. So I have a lot of things just like precariously perched all over me right now. So
Are you an organized type?
very much so.
So this is driving you crazy right now.
It is actually, but the benefit of it is in the old house, I did have an office at one time, and then when the boys were born, we converted it into like a pseudo office slash guest room for the in-laws. So we have the way we get by it. Everybody asks like, how do you get through it? It's like, well, I have a amazing mother-in-law and father-in-law, and mother-in-law especially because she usually comes to us about 4 days a week and stays with us. So she's from South Jersey.
Wow.
So we've been having the benefit of having an additional, hand in things, which is very critical, especially as the boys were really, early on. But even now, they're still a handful. So,
right.
so that's been fun. But my office that I used to have as my computer office and everything like that, I basically had to downsize. So I had a nice big 70-inch, computer desk with a hutch and all my setup and stuff. And then I got converted down to like, one of those Souter specials that sit in the corner. which out of principle I did not bring here. So I left it out in the curb. I was
you
like,
just get another one. Just get another one, man.
Well, I put the old teacher's desk in storage. So I just actually brought that home the other day in pieces. So it's in big parts and pieces. So I was able to kind of bring that over. So it's been fun. So I'm still in the middle of that. But that's one of the reasons why we haven't recorded. Can go with that later, but that's one of the things we've, the podcast has been kind of on a little bit of a hiatus right now, just because of the timing of all that. So, but yep. So that's basically the the basic gist. That's usually the bomb that nobody really expects is the three, the triple fret. From the preschoolers. So, and my wife is a preschool teacher. She doesn't teach them because that would be insane for her, and that would kind of defeat the purpose of having them in a preschool. So, and she teaches right now. She's taught all ages, but she currently is teaching pre-K 5, which they think that when they turn 5, they'll go to teach under her. And she's like, no. I teach the kids that are right before kindergarten. You're going to kindergarten next year. The cutoff period she teaches. So,
right.
So they quite haven't clicked there, but no, it's good. I mean, it's just like I said. It's very tiring. So, a lot of people ask, how do you get by? It's like, I am a night owl. I don't really need a lot of sleep. I always joke, sleep is for the weak. I really can get by with 4 to 5 hours, a night without too much trouble. Every once in a while I have to do a catch up, but, I tend to be late night. So a lot of times I'll be gaming more after like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that's typically when I'll do that.
Right up my alley.
And when I'll also stream. So I do stream, somewhat more inconsistently recently, but I'm hoping once now I got my new setup and everything gets like stabilized, I'll be able to kind of get back to my schedule of like evening streaming. Because
very cool.
Right before we moved, I actually got my affiliate status. So I just had
congrats,
that threshold.
Man. That is awesome.
Yeah, it took a little while, and it was one of the things that it was a lot of different work and keeping it going and such was really difficult. And it's funny the timing of everything, but it was right before I got into the whole mortgage portions, and every night my real estate agent was calling us about new homes and selling homes and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I kind of held off on streaming a little bit. I think I've only streamed a few times since then because I really it's been too busy. Just one additional thing on everything else has been pushing beyond the border, and then second is like I didn't want to really stream too much that in case I do get any subs and such, I'm not going to be real consistent at least for the month basically or two.
Right,
so I figured I don't want to do a bait and switch kind of thing. So
sure.
Not that I get a big audience or anything, but still, it's just that's how I think. I'm a risk mitigator. I always think of plan B's and C's, and it kind of my wife appreciates it, but it also drives her nuts a little bit because I'm like, well, what if this? So
mine's always working.
Always kind of thinking of things. It's just the way I'm very detailed, and I'm not the big picture guy. I'm the detail. Figure out what your vision is. I can figure out how to make it happen. That's kind of like what I try to do. So,
that is awesome, man. Wow.
Yep.
Tell us about your gaming history, man.
Mm-hmm. Just got my little beard here.
Yes.
And so I go back to Atari 2600 days. So I'm the youngest of three. That's one thing I didn't mention earlier, but I'm the youngest of three, and there's a difference of 12 years. So, my older brother and older sister are both 12 years older than me, and then myself. So I'm the baby of the family. But the benefit of that is when I was growing up, there was basically the various setups in the PCs and consoles were something that my family would buy because my brother would ask for it. So, he was 12 or 13 when I was born, and by the time I was like 5 or 6, he was like already teens and into the high school, and then etc. So, 2600 was the first console that I ever played. I basically, live and breathe, combat and the football game, and we used to always play that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then moved into the 5200. That was the second one that was there after that, and it had a really cool controller and stuff. But then the whole crash of, Atari and other stuff, and that's kind of where the console stuff stopped for years, very, very long time. So my brother, especially, since he was purchasing most of it, or was at least either he was purchasing it through working, or if he got the parents to buy stuff, he was basically like, all right, well, let's bring some computer stuff in there. So we brought a old Texas Instrument TI 99 4A into the house, and hooked up to a television and had a little cassette drive. So, would do little things. And even at that age, actually, there were books on games and stuff that you could actually they didn't have even tapes or anything. You had to actually type in the code. So that's kind of where my background in programming started. Funny enough, I don't even know what age I was, maybe like 7 or 8, probably, like definitely elementary school, because we had some computers in school and I was pretty good with that. But I would type in these games, like simple sprite type stuff. But then the problem was a lot of these games had bugs in them. Like, I typed them exactly right. So even at that age, I was having to debug the stuff. It's really funny to think about. My brother's like, how'd you get it working yet? Because he didn't do it. He was techie, but he's more like tech support versus more like programming. So I always had that programming thing. I would be debugging these books that would be downloaded. Eventually they started, selling books that had DVDs and stuff that you can download, or CDs, I should say, and tapes and things like that. But at that time there was nothing. So you're just typing it all in, and then you had to save it to the, the tape drive. So a lot of people were like, tape drive, yeah, that's where you had to have a little counter, and then between 0 and like 30 seconds, that would be program 1, and then between 45 and beyond. So, and on those games, even with the TI, they had these cartridges, 16K games, amazing stuff. And then if you were lucky, you could actually, for Christmas, you got like an extended 64K at a day enhancement. Huzzah, right? So I was like, that's where you can actually do like more colorful stuff on the TV, right? So this is all kind of fun stuff. And eventually that kind of migrated to and then collapsed the console. So he basically started getting into computers himself. He was bringing it into the house, and we had built our first PCXT back then. So it was like a 6.8, and I think it was a 468 megahertz type system. So you would actually go to turbo, which was 8 megahertz. So you'd be able to like toggle it for different games to 3. Right. So that was our first system, and we had a disk drive at that point, the big 5 1/4s and such, and a 1200 baud modem.
5 1/4s, wow.
Yep, 5 1/4s, and then 3 1/2s and stuff. And then
CDs.
And then CDs later, all those games and stuff. So I was very much into gaming for pretty much my entire life with that stuff. And
so you started basically computer and totally skipped over most of the console years then.
Yeah, like all my friends, like I would go over to a friend's house and we'd play some Nintendo or Sega, Techno Ball they would play, and I would pick the Niners and have Jerry Rice and just throw it and just bomb it down there and just beat the hell out of everybody.
I remember you guys. You guys were a different breed. You guys were the one. You were off the beaten path. We were kind of the pioneers back in the day, because you really had to jump through a lot of hoops to play a computer game back in the day. Versus just shoving a console, a cartridge into a console or a CD-ROM or whatever.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've become more aware of a retro gaming sort of group out there that's out in like Twitter and wherever else. They're like into creating these old computers. I'm like, I've been there, done that. I really don't want to do that again. I remember memory allocations and first running a game. Now you just plug in a game and boom, it runs. And yeah, maybe you have some bugs. No, you had to figure out how much memory you had and reallocate, high mem and low mem and all that kind of stuff. And you had IRQ conflicts. And so anybody who's older kind of knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's like, all right, change to 5 and 7. What's the DMA? What's the, all that kind of fun stuff. Like, I don't need that anymore.
See, so that's the thing. People always ask me, why don't you like side-scrolling games and stuff? I said, because, dude, that's all I played when I was little, was side-scrolling, and that was the shiznit back then. I mean, side-scrolling Contra, Mario, and I'm trying, Hazel. I'm trying. Mario.
I was going to say Mario, yeah.
And games like that. Donkey Kong side scrollers that was the shit back then. Now we're getting into 3D gaming, and just the graphics. I mean, face it, they're almost photorealistic. They're pretty damn close, and I think we're not far away from photorealism.
Yeah,
but, people I don't understand. People are like, well, this game is so cool. Why don't you want to play on the Switch? I'm like, cause I played those games when I was little. I want to play the latest and greatest.
Yeah, I have that discussion sometimes with Elmer because Elmer likes a lot of the older games and stuff. I'm like, I just can't anymore. Like, actually, in many ways, that's one of the reasons I never really got into Minecraft, because it's like Minecraft's a really cool game. I'd appreciate that my kids will probably eventually want to play it or
Exactly.
But to me, it's like I lived through those graphics when they first came out. It's like really crappy. Like, I lived through that, and I've gone beyond that. I don't need to go back.
I don't want to I'm sorry. I don't want to relive those years. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm looking ahead here, guys.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily have. I'm a little bit of a graphics snob, although if the gameplay's there, it's important.
Well, of course. If all the pieces are there, yeah, definitely.
But I got a Switch last year, and that's one of the things that I will get a lot of the different games, but I still won't go to some of the older kind of games. It's like I really don't want to do those games. So
now I will say this, ClearNite.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a Switch for your kids to relive some of the games you played, I totally get that part.
Yeah,
I do. But, I got to admit, I was just telling Hazel before the show, I had a split-second thought about getting a Switch, because I'd love to play Donkey Kong again, Some of the older games I used to play, but...
Yep. Wait. Time
out. Everybody drink.
Drink. Yeah, another game that Gator says he'll play that he won't.
Actually, I just drank something, so I did the timing perfectly.
Okay, just to fill everybody in, who was it? Who started this? H?
I think it was H.
Agent H has created a drinking game that any game that I mention that I'm not going to play, everyone has to drink. Is that the game?
Yeah, well, no, after you say that you're going to play the game.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I got a surprise for you tonight then. We'll see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. He turned on a game and then he turned it off to play Destiny.
Well, hey.
Spoiler alert.
Speaking of Destiny, man. How did you come across Destiny? Because this was go back all the way to 2014. This was a revolutionary game, man. How'd you run across this game?
Well, this is one of the ones that I tracked from the very beginning. So, at the very first console that I came back to, after being years of like PC Master Race through high school and even college and stuff, and I wasn't really as obnoxious about it, but I would see games like in Best Buy, like a lot of people like, oh yeah, GoldenEye. I'm like, yeah,
I played something much better on computer already.
Yeah, I was playing like Duke Nukem and Quake. You just don't even.
Yeah, it's like it's like these people. I read the book. I don't need to see the movie. I already read the book.
I mean, my brother and I we set up a network in our house to play Doom. We had 4 computers to set up, and I learned one of my first jobs as a computer guy was learning how to do networking and stuff. So I wired our whole house. We were at my parents' house, and we had like 3 or 4 computers, and I'd have friends would come over, and we just played the ton of. So we played like all those games. Like I played everything. And my brother used to work for Egghead Software, if you don't remember them back in the day.
Okay.
And so he did some part-time work. So we worked my father at a factory for a while because my parents were blue collar and factory workers and stuff. And, and so he worked for Egghead. And one of the benefits of Egghead is he could take games home and try them out, and then he would take them back and shrink wrap them. So we would try. So I played pretty much everything, like any kind of game you can think of. And I was one of those that was more completionist, but I still would jump between games. So I definitely appreciate, when we get to Destiny, Destiny was the first game probably in a very long time where it kind of kept me on a game for a very, very long time.
It grabs you, doesn't it? It doesn't let you go.
It definitely does. And so, when I went to PS1, the reason my brother even still looked at me when I got the PlayStation, he's like, why are you getting the PlayStation? Like, because of Final Fantasy VII, because of Soul Blade, and because of Game Day. Because there weren't any good sports games on PC. Like they had Joe Montana and all this, but those are like not actual like action games. So that was the 3. And I was in college. It was my first co-op, because I went to school where there was co-op. So I had like 6 months of a full paying job. So I would pay for school, and I'd have a little bit of my own money. So I actually bought like, my own like television and stuff. And I bought the control and console. So, and I played Final Fantasy VII. That was it. And then Soul Blade, I always used to love the game in the arcade and just needed to have it. So PlayStation 1 was the first one where I came back, and I played a lot of those games, and then PlayStation 2. But then I did switch over to when the Xbox came out. I was working for another company where we actually had a lot of gamers, and we were young. It was a startup at the time, and all web and stuff. And so when the Xbox came out, we had the big Duke controllers, really heavy ones. Oh, wow. And so the real big ones, and they came out with the S controller later, which is kind of like what you see nowadays. But they had the huge ones, and they tried to sell it actually recently. I was like, why? Why are you trying to sell the Duke? The Duke it would work, but come on. The PlayStation was better control at the time, and then the Xbox took it and they flipped the sticks, and it was maybe the best controller ever in my mind.
Well, okay,
that's I got used.
I would agree.
So
whatever.
and the reason for that is because I was Xbox and the 360 boy. So
I got you.
So we would basically hook up 4 Xboxes when Halo came out, and we would play after
LAN
work.
parties.
Exactly. We would go into a conference room because we were all young, and even the founders were all young guys. It was a startup. So we would basically hook up 4 Xboxes between 1 or 2 conference rooms, do the 4 player screen, and we'd have 16-player deathmatch matches. So before there was even the internet on Halo 1, didn't have it. So it was just all LAN. And
Yep.
so it was, so it wasn't until I think it was I don't remember if 2 even had, I think it was 3 that had the first internet one. So we were playing a lot of that, and then the 360 came out, and I was whole hog into the 360. Loved it. I still think that was one of my favorites. Still is one of my favorite consoles.
Yeah, it revolutionized it. Even the social systems they had built into that was awesome.
And that's the thing. Like Sony was always very good with the exclusive games.
Yeah, but their social system sucked.
It was terrible. And even now, it's like there's times where I'm like, I look at them and Xbox is kind of going backwards, I think, in many ways. But
PlayStation went with the trophy system. I hated that. Yeah. I love gamer score. I love that.
Yeah.
But I started way too late, so there's no. I have such a low gamer score. Everybody would laugh if I told you what it is, but it's pathetic.
No, and that's where I kind of went from that. So when I got to that, I was big into Bungie. So even back on PC days and Mac days, there were games that they released called Myth and some other ones.
I remember Myth.
That I played.
Yeah,
Myth was a good game, good strategy.
Marathon, right?
And Marathon. Now, Marathon was another one of those games I was doom and duke. So it was like all the Mac guys would be like, "Oh, Marathon." I'm like, yeah, no. But it was still a great game. It was revolutionary in terms of technology. It was Mac only for a while. Then eventually they came out with a really bad PC version. It just didn't work. Right. But that they had those tenets, right? So then when Halo came out and I got it day one, I had Xbox day one, and I got, then when they had live, I did the beta for that, and so had all those different sort of things that were there. So when Bungie announced, when I started seeing the Vidocs, that was basically what it was. They were announcing what they were going to work on, and they started doing all these Vidocs, and then when they started showing the Vidocs for like, what was it, Out of the Woods and the E3 trailer, and then they had another one where they would kind of go through and like, hey, there's this game, and they would show the actual party system, and you'd play, and they would drop Thunderlord. Thunderlord dropped, and it was like, and you go back to this. I actually still once in a while go back to those videos. It's kind of trippy to go back and watch. I did that the other day actually, just because I had them on my playlist. Just
I played them.
I have an OG Destiny video stuff. Nice. And it's just cool. So when the beta was coming out, like when they said, and the alpha is out now, at the E3, like, okay, well, I had a PlayStation, that was a PlayStation
3,
4 at the time. It was actually, they had 3 and 4, but I actually got the 4 right before that for various reasons, because I didn't like the Xbox One. I wasn't big on the Xbox One, so I flipped over to the
I got you.
But I would get everything. Like I would get them. It just, I would take a while to get it. Like PlayStation 3 took me a while. God of War was really the one that kind of got me to get PlayStation 3.
Great game.
Yeah, and I forget it was second or
that I played.
Third one. That was amazing. I always love those games. So the exclusives and the Uncharted theories and all those always were great games. So I'd play those. But it was all, I kind of leapfrogged every year. Like I would do 360. Sure. Then I went to more like the PlayStation 4, and then I kind of did eventually get an Xbox One, and then I'm looking at in the future. But so all of that, knowing what Halo was. So when I had the PlayStation, I knew that I was part of the alpha. So I actually downloaded it and played it, and it was just like amazing. Now, the funny thing is my expectations were still so much higher that when I saw it, it was a little bit of a letdown, funny enough, because I was really into RPGs and stuff.
Right.
So I thought it was going to be more like RPG-ish versus
computer background
more action.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's like, I thought it'd be a little bit more of that kind of stuff, because I was always into like the Ultima and other kind of games that were like, role-playing games. Right. And so it had that, but it wasn't quite as deep as I wanted. But then there was just something addictive about it. Like you played the crap. It was like several days, right? It was like for a weekend. And you would play it, and I tried each of the characters. And so it'll probably get into one of your other questions, but like I tried all 3 characters, but I immediately picked the Warlock because of melee. I was like, this melee is awesome. I'm like force power. I'm like, bam, I'm not even nearing you, I'm killing you. And then I saw the sword, it's like, all right, or knife. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I saw the Titan and the T-Rex arms. I'm like, okay, that's like every other game. I'm not really that interested in it. Like it's Halo, it's fine, but it's nothing new. I wanted something different. So I went with the melee on that. So that's basically what I played the most of was Warlock, and then probably played a little bit of the other 2, but Warlock was really kind of maxed it out, whatever it did. And then the beta came out, same thing. Just, I think they rebooted everything, and I just did it again. And that's where I was playing with some friends. So I had some friends who would do it in real life and such. So, that's how I kind of got onto Destiny. So I was there from the beginning, and just I was really hyped and excited from the very get-go, just because of Halo background and stuff. And I played all the Halos up to 3, and then after that I kind of trailed off in ODST and Reach. But I never played a lot of the more recent ones after it changed hands from Bungie. So
yeah. Wow. It's funny, man, hearing you talk about it, I get like chills.
Yeah, he's getting me excited. Yeah, he's getting me
I
excited.
was like, I just want to go back and play.
Can we go back to 2014, please?
Right? Like, and you had Earth, the Cosmodrome was still amazing. Like landing there,
I love
and
that place.
going through that, and then they added the moon later. It's like, all right, and one mission on the moon, and first light was there. It's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, but the Cosmodrome was so realistic with the wind blowing in your headphones and stuff. You're like, you know what? This could really be a place. This could really be real. You know, there could be aliens coming down out of the sky. It was believable. You know, then
definitely.
when you went to Venus and the moon and maybe the moon and Mars and all that, it got a little further out there. But hey, that's the game it is. So
yeah, no, and that was definitely the thing. So release day, I was there. You know, I was definitely
Nice.
there the first day.
Very cool.
And so I played with a lot of friends that are in personal life, and they were there, but I wasn't really part of clans and anything like that. I kind of did a lot of beta testing before that, but never really got into the clan thing. I think the closest thing I got to that was a game called PlanetSide, which is a second version recently.
I remember that. Yeah.
But I beta tested that, and then that was one game I did get into like a clan, and that was one of those clans. It was a good clan. It wasn't toxic, but they were very much militaristic, and a lot of the guys were cops or military, and so they like if you didn't join after a certain point, you got booted. Like you just had to join. It was an amazing game. Loved that game, and that was probably the closest thing to Destiny showed to me, like PlanetSide type feel, like, you know, massive world where you just land and do missions, and that's what I was expecting, more of like a PlanetSide with like Bungie feel.
Yeah.
And so that's why it kind of wasn't quite there, because it's a little bit more open than and just massive.
PlanetSide, they were ahead of their game. They had it where you could be a part of a faction and take over areas of the map. I love that part of it, but the graphics just couldn't keep up, and that's the only reason I left it.
Yeah,
There's too many people on one screen. It was just crazy, man.
It got very laggy. Yeah, that's the thing. They always had problems. And my biggest problem, I played a lot of PlanetSide. I was even a subscriber when it was probably one of the first games I went from beta to actually subscribing.
Right.
And was playing it for months. And the biggest thing with PlanetSide is you kept doing the same thing. Like you'd battle over the planets, which was cool. So even at work, I would have like a web browser up where you can kind of see progression of your server, and you
real
would see
time.
like who's all the different factions and stuff.
It was so cool.
My mind that was hoping for Destiny. And that's still never kind of reached there. So that's still my ultimate like.
You know,
I,
I wonder if once the technology catches up, we'll soon be playing games like that. I hope so, man, because I am pumped if that's the case. Because PlanetSide had me excited. In fact, there's other people I know, even streamers that I've talked to that loved PlanetSide, but it just wasn't, the technology wasn't really up there. It wasn't there yet. And I'm guarantee you when bandwidth and memory and technology catches up to these really high profile games, I can't wait, man. I mean, I'm still trying to look for what is it? Good and Evil 2. I'm still waiting for that game to come out.
Yeah, that was a good one. The first one was really fun. So
that trailer, man, holy shit.
Yeah, and nothing like what it was before. But you know, I hold my breath with some of those. I eventually it'll come out, but
it's all production. It's all marketing.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson now from games that looks fantastic, and then you jump in the game and you're like, this isn't what they advertised.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's why I used to always get into beta testing, even from the early days. Like I beta tested Ultima Online, even World of Warcraft I was a beta tester for, and I knew what those games would require from me. So like a little bit of Ultima Online was the first really online, you know, Meridian 59 was another one. It was like first online MMO, right? RPG. And World of Warcraft was really cool. Like I loved it because I was a big Warcraft and StarCraft fan, RTS games and stuff. And so I love the world, but I said like, this is going to be a time sink. And this is when I started working. I'm like, I'm not going to have the time to put in.
You have to start making choices. You have to start thinking, well, Destiny is the only thing I have time for, so it's where my investments go.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. Like every once in a while, I'd pop back to it, you know. But there's certain games that are just hard to kind of get in when you have to be part of a multiplayer clan and things like that. You know, those games that can do that, but they're a little bit more better solo players. But I always liked the fact of large games like Battlefield 1942, still one of my favorite games ever because it had that war feel. You know,
absolutely.
You had carriers and subs and all the different arenas and stuff.
There again. When Battlefield catches up and is able to take advantage of that technology, I cannot wait, dude. I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, 5's gotten close, but it still doesn't have any of that. Like, you don't have that vehicle stuff. Like,
Dice made really good Battlefield games. The problem is they were all so buggy. They all had so many issues.
Yeah, you'd have to go through 6 months into a game, and it would basically then you get all the patches and all the uploads and downloads.
Sorry, I'll get you off on a tangent if you let me. Hazel, go ahead.
Same.
We want to know more about this guy. Hazel, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I was just listening because I never played PlanetSide or anything like that.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's kind of like I forget. how 30 and Still Gaming was talking about that
That's what I
game
was thinking about.
Defiance.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
How he was playing Defiance and things like that. And it's like,
Hmm.
wow, like these are games like that were revolutionary, and it seems like Destiny sort of like saw that what they were doing and took like little pieces of it, like not like the full like copyrighted thing, but it looks like they or it sounds like they took things from all these different games and then put them together and
Yep.
then just didn't quite fulfill
Hazel,
the.
Hmm.
I'm just
I'm waiting for
saying
the
what
day,
everybody's
brother.
saying.
I'm waiting for that day to
But
come. Trust me.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, we all are,
Yeah, yeah.
we all are.
Yeah.
For
And
now, Destiny is the best game right now. It's the best game out. It has everything. It has everything. Sorry.
so question. Uh, so how'd you find our community and this community and Elmer and all the
Hmm.
good stuff like that?
Sure. I mean, a lot of this, and I think you heard this from other folks that, ultimately was Destiny Reset podcast was the first real big clan I got
Man,
into.
doesn't seem like everybody's from Dirt.
Pretty much like Arrow and Cyborg with both their podcasts. Like, so really where it came down to is I had friends in real life that were playing, and then they kind of, when the boys were born, I kind of had to trail off a little bit. So I was playing more solo games, right? So I couldn't really join in fully with the House of Bulls when it came out. So when, I played a little bit this summer when they started falling and sleeping more through the night and things like that, I'd have my cameras up and I'd be playing some stuff, and then I had to like, pause and go. So I wasn't really into like, the groups, and they were sort of already, if you didn't get on early enough, you were already done. You were like, fourth man out or fifth man out or whatever it was, right? So I couldn't join in with them. So then eventually they started trailing off of the game, and then I started playing a little bit more in the House of Wolves. So I was like, well, there's got to be something. So I've always been a Game Planet, GameFly, and Planet Destiny, Planet whatever. Like Planet Destiny
Sure.
was one of the versions of all the different games they had. Like
Oh yeah,
Planet Doom,
I
they
loved
had
it.
Planet.
Yeah.
So I stumbled across Planet Destiny YouTube online. So I didn't even know I knew nothing about Twitch, had nothing or no idea of that. So I would watch that, and I was like, oh, let me find out some other things about it. So it was YouTube, and then they linked out to a Twitch. I was like, and I would watch it. So I'd watch Planet Destiny early days, and then my first streamer actually was that I found was Laced Up Lauren. Actually, she's still a
Yeah.
streamer now.
I watch her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was great at the game.
Hmm.
Very very nice lady, pretty as well. So
of course, yeah, of
something
course.
That didn't
attractive, of
hurt.
course.
Yeah.
It
It
doesn't
didn't
hurt.
hurt. Not to defend anybody, but and it helped, and she was amazing. Like she was an awesome player, and
Yeah.
it was during King's Fall game, right? So like I was playing Taken King, and I was playing all those games when they switched over. So I was heavy into House of Wolves in the summertime once the boys were kind of a little more stabilized, and then I was like looking to be able to play. So I had never raided at that point. Like my friends had tried to raid. We did Vault of Glass a little bit, but then they were never really like they weren't a stick to anything. They would jump all over the place, and I was like, no, I really want to finish a raid, So that's kind of what started happening. Is I started seeking out like these different things, and I would hear Lauren, and she had the cool kids table, and it was a guild and stuff. And
I like that. That was neat.
yeah, and that was a cool way to do it. And I thought that's kind of a cool community, but I was always kind of tentative. And then I saw and then I heard of Destiny Reset, and it was right before either as they got featured or premiered, or right before or right as they were featured on Bungie.net. So I had joined in with them, and they were doing a retro raid night, and they were doing Crota. And Vanquish and a couple other guys were setting up like, anybody ever never done a raid? I'm like, me. So I set my name up in a Google Doc, and we ended up going through a Crota raid, and that was the first raid that I completed. Like, so I had started a few, but I'd never done Crota at all, so I had no clue. Like, I even fell for the, hey, yeah, there's a hidden ghost over here. This edge right here. I've done this to other people later. It's like, just a little further before you jump. You'll get if you jump. Oh, you didn't find it.
Here comes the Titan Slam.
Yep, exactly. Either a Titan Slam or you'd fall off. And
that's awesome.
And I had even recorded with somebody who like missed me one time. Like I had just moved out and I saw the Titan just go right by. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I see what you guys doing. Real funny, But it was cool. It was good guys,
Good
and
times.
and it was cool, and it was relaxed, and it wasn't like the intensity that I felt in like Planetside or that I saw in a lot of WoW clans and from friends that I saw. Right. So that kind of got me into it, and just started joining up with different groups and stuff, and and along the way we met a lot of the great folks that are there, and then really as we went to Rise of Iron and stuff, we were playing a lot of different raids, and Wrath of the Machine came out, we were doing some of that, and then I think it was like the Age of Triumph when that came out, it started teetering off a little bit and people were kind of prepping, but then I had gotten in with a few other guys that eventually would turn into Dawg. So that was where it kind of all started eventually.
Okay, I'll ask you that in a minute. Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I remember from the old Planet Destiny days? I remember the Briar Rabbit videos.
Oh, he was my favorite.
He was one of my favorite. He still is one of my favorite YouTubers.
Is, yeah.
He has such a great radio voice, and
And he has a similar personality to me. Like he has a similar sense of humor, you know. So
I actually I didn't know if you knew this, but I actually did a raid with him. We were on stream, and he was looking for people to join a raid, and me and a few of his friends were wanting to run a raid. I think it was a Leviathan, and he's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude. That laugh, man, that laugh is infectious too. But he has such a great voice. He'd have these intros to his videos. It was like, all right, here comes a Briar Rabbit video. What's up? What's up, Briar? What's going on this week, buddy? And that was so awesome. But hey, okay, I got to ask you, man. Mr. ClearNite.
Yes.
Dude, what's up with the gamer tag?
That's an interesting one. So I mentioned to you, I've had that for forever, for a very, very long time. So back in the day, you know, it was my brother and I we'd go into these things called BBSs, right? So you probably remember these, that you'd put them into online discussion groups and stuff like that. And so, and we would administer our own, and we had variations of our name. Like, you know, he would have a name and he would be like Brewski, and I would be Zewski because it's part of portion of our name.
Sure.
I was like, well, I don't want to put my name really in an alias. So I started using the moniker Highlander. And it had nothing to do with the there can only be one. It wasn't that came later. But like I used to read a lot of fantasy books, and Terry Brooks was one of my favorite Shannara series. So there was a character from Ley that was called the Highlander. Like he was the Highlander. So I kind of was using that for a while. And then of course the movie hit and all that sort of things. Like, so whenever a game system would come out or a new system, I could never get that name. Like he was always taken the Highlander. Right. So I'm like, all right, let me try something else. So I started going through another name. It was like Warmonger for whatever reason. That's just because I was into FPS and Unreal and Doom and Quake and all those games. So like Warmonger. And that was pretty good too. But that still also wasn't very unique. So I'm like, screw this. I'm tired of trying to find names. And I didn't want to do the number game. Like, 15732. Like I tease my friend, my coworker or colleague, I should say, Rob 1103, right? He's just for name guys with names and numbers and stuff. So I'm trying something different, and I'm always into fantasy and fiction and stuff. And so like, all right, well, there's Black Knight. That's too obvious, right? What can I do a variation of Black Knight? All right, what's kind of the opposite of black? Well, clear skies, clear this. So I was like, all right, night. What's a parody? So somebody asked a question in Discord I saw today. It's like, is it night or night? It's kind of like both actually. So I went, instead of black, I went clear, and instead of night, I went NITE. So it could be a different multiple versions of that name. So it was like clear skies, clear nights. It's clear, clear sunny, clear sunny, clear starry night.
So it goes back all the way back to the BBCs you set up.
Yep, it was all back in that. So whenever I set up my first, and I was playing Unreal Tournament with ClearNite, so all my friends knew me ClearNite. So that was always my even my wife knew when we first met. It's like she knew, oh, ClearNite. She knows me as Clear. She knows that I have ClearNite. She doesn't call me obviously ClearNite, but she knows that I use that. So that was one of those things that just stuck, and I've never had really too much of an issue except for Twitter. I don't know why, but as we kind of talked about it, I can get ClearNite on pretty much anything, and anytime I usually go to a network, I'll sign up anyway just so I get the name, just in case I'm going to go on that network.
Absolutely.
But the only place that I have been able to get ClearNite just as ClearNite is Twitter. That's why I have the ClearNite _ because there's somebody who's on a dead account, a very attractive woman from I think the Philippines or something that hasn't tweeted in 7 years, but has ClearNite without the underscore.
And let me guess, she blocked you?
I tried, and there's no response. It's not even blocked. It's just there's no response.
She's just not even there.
I don't think she's even using it. And try and get Twitter to deactivate a name that's something like that. They don't even listen to you and that sort of thing. So but that's where ClearNite comes from. It's just basically trying to find, and I always like the fantasy. I always like to play on words too. So clear and clear night and clear skies, that kind of thing. So when I do other games, there's a few games where you have to do multiple, ESO for example. You start your account as ClearNite,
right?
But then each character you have has different names for different classes you play. So I'll do Klarnacht, which is German for clear night, or Clara Knight if I'm doing a female character. So it always kind of works. It actually kind of worked out for me. So, but yeah, that's the origin of ClearNite.
Cool.
So, yep. Nice. And it's funny because out of all the podcasts I've done, and nobody's actually, we've always talked about talking about it, but I've never actually talked about it. So you guys were the first for that one.
Oh, well, we try to,
even on mine.
We try to get the exclusives out there. So that's for
exclusive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. So I want to know this. What's one thing about you that no one knows or very few people know?
Speaking of exclusives.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject,
I've always kind of struggled. This is one of those, I'm pretty transparent with most things. The only thing I'm pretty good about doing, and I think I learned this from Briar, is that I'll give a lot of details, but I'll never give my straight up name or enough that something, like you said, you always keep a brand that's there, right?
Sure.
So, but the one thing that I'm never hiding, but I don't usually bring up, is that I'm basically first generation from a family of immigrants. So I mentioned I was youngest of three, and I came 13 years later. But my parents actually came over from we call the old country. So both my mother and father came in over after World War II. So, and my mother was a survivor of labor camp. So,
Really?
yeah. So she basically, her and her whole family came
What
over.
country?
They were from Belarus,
Belarus,
so
okay.
Oh,
so it's
wow.
Polish, but it's Russian, but it was really
Sure.
Polish. Which
Sure.
over the years of history, I was always a big history buff. I haven't kind of been in that as much recently.
Wow,
But I
so
was
you're
through
first
school.
generation.
So I'm
Wow.
first one to graduate college. I'm not the first to graduate high school because my older siblings did do that. But I mentioned my brother had ended up starting to go to factory. So he just, at this point, my mother was like, she always said try to go to university. He was paying for it and stuff. But then he kind of like wasn't sure what he was going to do. So he ended up going to work with my father in factory and stuff. And then he started working at Egghead. So eventually he did get his degree in computer stuff later, but
Sure.
like at a community college. But he works for that now. But I was actually the first one to go through and actually graduate with a bachelor's and a technology degree. So I'm always really proud about that. But a lot of folks don't know. Like, my wife does know. But like, yeah, it's one of those things that my mother survived and her family survived labor camps. They were liberated by the Allies.
She must have
right
been
at
a
the end of
very
the war.
very young little girl when she was there.
Very young, yeah. So she was like anywhere from like 5 to 8 in those times,
Wow.
and and she was originally, they were landowners and stuff, and they'd taken over. And I always tell people, like, really the difference is, if we're of Christian descent, not Jewish. But
Sure.
if she was Jewish, she would have been in a concentration camp. They
Wow.
For non-Jewish, they go to a labor camp. So
Right.
the main difference is, in one, they try and just and not to be blunt, but it's the history. They would try and kill you. Like, that was the point of a concentration camp, was to kill, right?
Sure. Sure.
Labor camp, they would, they didn't care, but they would work you to death. So the main difference is like the objective, but she had family members that were just taken out, and so it was very real tough.
She never had to worry
So,
about gas chambers, but she was just worried about getting worked to death.
yeah, really. And she was young enough that she wasn't really work, but she had older parents
Sure.
and stuff. So when they came over here, her and her sister were really sort of, and they had a lot of siblings, but they went to different parts of the U.S. and Canada. So,
Wow.
they were in this area. So her and her sister were both, ones really supporting her family when they came here. So that's kind of like the tidbit I don't usually reveal, but it's interesting. It's also one of the reasons why I've always been really interested in history, and always very interested in
Sure.
in World War II and Nazi and history and things like that. And just always been really geared that way. So
Well,
that's
Hazel?
one of the things. Yep.
Hazel, I think until we ask, we never know, do we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
like you said. I mean, this is the reason why we do this and why we do interview our
Absolutely.
community and other communities and things like that, because it's fun to get to know people. Because, I mean, like, if we game together or something like that, you're never going to ask, hey, tell me one thing about you that,
Yeah.
because that just seems weird and creepy and stuff like that. It's
Sure.
like,
Sure.
No, it's great, and it's a great question, because it's one of those things that I had a junior high project where I had to like interview somebody, and I interviewed my mom, and it was a 40-minute interview going back and forth talking about, because she was always very difficult. She could never watch actually World War II movies.
Sure.
She
Sure.
Still, even now, she can sort of watch, but she can never really do it. Just too many memories and stuff. So, my
Yeah.
father was the opposite. He loved war movies and stuff like that. So he would watch those movies, and she'd have to leave the room because she was like just irritated. It's like, but it was really, I actually found that tape not so many years ago. So I need to actually encode that into digital, because I found the actual cassette
preserve it.
tape.
Yeah.
And it's like a 40-minute interview, and she was just going through questions. I just had little questions, it was in junior high. It was really good. So,
Dude, I'm still trying to
but
find my wedding video. It's somewhere in my house, and I gotta digitize it. It's still on VHS, and I'm scared to death. It's gonna be ruined. Well,
Yeah.
as I'm such a smooth transitioner here, thinking of that point, do you have a motto or a mantra that you live by?
Yeah, my biggest one that I'll say is no worries. Like, that's really what
Okay.
I'm all about. I'm like very chill, very relaxed. I don't really worry a whole lot. I kind of have faith, and that kind of keeps me through things. And one of the things I've always just, I spout out, and it's, my wife knew as soon as I met her, it's like I would always say that. She's like, "You don't really worry about much." She's like, "No," and we're pretty similar that way, and we don't stress too much about things. And even now, we've got tense times, but even that, it's like, it is what it is. No worries. You just get through, keep moving along, do the right things. But like, yeah, I just keep it chill. So no worries.
Good way to live, man. Don't sweat the small stuff, right? I'm reading that book right now. Little every day. I read a chapter, a little bit of it every day. It's a good little book. Well, let me ask you this. Tell us about. I guess let's start with the Hoot Dog Clan. How did you guys get this started?
Mm-hmm.
I know this turned into a podcast, but I guess the clan came first, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
the kind of the difference. I know you guys just created your clan, and we kind of were a little bit different in that sense. So
Okay.
really, what it came down to is, Destiny Reset is great foundation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they got really large. And there were times where, especially when it started getting a little bit quieter, that it was either hard to find and jump into a raid where you were just, weren't the seventh man out, right, or eighth man out. So
Sure,
like
sure.
if you weren't responding very quickly, so it started getting into a group of people that we just started playing a lot. And after a while, we started getting some quota clears and such, and there was a few of the individuals had already started like their own Discord. So they wanted to be a little more personal, get something a little bit. We're always playing with the same people, so they ended after a Crota raid, and it was where Rob came in. So there was the founder of our clan and Discord is between Rob and Zoltanki. So
Okay.
Zoltanki's not real active nowadays, but he was basically the creator of our Discord, and it was one of the Crota raids that we had where the discussion came up in terms of Hoot Dog and Hoot this, and because they were always changing names and stuff. So it's interesting because there's two different origin stories, and it's one of those things that I didn't really know right away because I was just kind of part of it. But a few of us were, after a Crota raid, were just invited. We got this miscellaneous invite to a Discord from Zoltanki,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was myself and actually Kingsley and Gunbait and a few others, Jim Dino and a few others.
Really?
Yeah, and so Kingsley actually is where we're gonna ask. I think I saw later is like where I meet Sin and Kingsley. Kingsley was Hoot Dog, like he still is obviously, but he's moved on
Sure.
to his own own thing doing. But yeah, that's really where kind of the origin was. We really were clicking off, and we started doing a few different Crotas, and then Kingsley and he brought Stacy through a Crota raid. So that was really one of the initial steps where I played a couple times with Zoltanki, and he thought we were cool, and so he had his family Discord in a sense, and he started inviting more people. And wanted to keep it fairly small, but eventually was there. And then the topic of I guess food was always in the Discord, so there
Sure.
was always as you have a special channel, but like Discord, the Hoot Dog Discord originally was really food pictures and raid topic,
Really?
and Destiny. So like people would always constantly post food pictures. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
what Zoltanki's origin story basically talks about is the way he used to talk about, like, he's in Florida as well. He's in Orlando, and he used to talk about like chorizos. And I guess the way he pronounced it, one of his Latin cousins said that he sounds like the way you're saying chorizo. It sounded like you wanted a hoot dog in something. So like a hoot dog. I don't even know what the heck that means, but like, and then somebody found a dog in an owl costume and posted it into the Discord, and all of a sudden the Discord icon turned to that same picture
Wow.
of a dog with a little silly like owl costume,
That's
and
so
then there was
cool.
different dogs and stuff. So and then Rob actually after the one Crota raid, we used to always joke about like passing the chalice and stuff. So when you had to pass the chalice because you had to heal in Crota, it's like pass the chalice. Who's got the chalice? Pass the chalice. And then I don't know if it was me or somebody else was like, yeah, make sure to pass on the left hand side because it was going back to the whole passing. So it was like pass the chalice on the left hand side, and then they would start talking about like '90s rapper Snoop Dogg kind of stuff, like Snoop Dogg, and that's so it was like those are kind of like the two origin stories that kind of mesh a bit, but that's really where it kind of comes from. So it's
Makes
that
sense.
yep. So our primary is really in the beginning where like it was Oltanki, his wife, Gunbait, Rob 1103, who's our founder of our clan, and Jim Dino and Esray and a few others that are there. We've grown over time, but and then added others over the time. And then actually the topic of the podcast came up when it was actually Zoltanki and Gunbait that were interested in just, Gunbait's always, if you know Gunbait 101,
Mm-hmm.
Elmer Fudd and all those guys,
Yeah.
but he's definitely he's still an admin in Hoot Dog. He's still part of Hoot Dog and such, and even though he's not really playing as much Destiny now, he still has his origins, and he's always been interested in different things, like trying different, like streaming, and so he was interested in doing a podcast. And I guess at some point him and Zoltanki were talking, so they started the podcast, and they were asking, they did a pilot episode, and they were asking in the group, what do you want to call it? It's Hoot Dog, but we don't just call it Hoot Dog. What do you want? And there's a whole bunch of names that went through, and then Hoot Dog Radio kind of was the one that stuck. That was one that I forget if it was Rob or Dino, one of the two, kind of coined that one. one, and that's where it came up. So they started the podcast, and it was right as Destiny 2 launched, right before Curse of Osiris. so so it was like, all right, we're
Perfect
all
timing.
excited, and it's like, all right, so we have the great distinction of starting a podcast right before Curse of Osiris and covering Curse of Osiris.
Tough time.
Yeah. So it was interesting. And then I came on and at the time I was PS4, but I also played the PC version. When it came on Discord, when it came on, Destiny came on PC in October and November, I ended up getting on PC as well because, I started, updating my PC as well.
It's beautiful.
And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So, and that's why I was playing both. Like, I was hardcore. Like, I was just doing grinding on both of them. And and Jim Dino was another one who actually had a PC as well. So we both played PC when it launched. So when it first launched, they had us come on as guests to talk about the PC version, how much, the difference is, and etc.
Right.
So that was episode, I think, 1 or 2. And then after that, there's a few other guests that came on. Rob came on, talked about the history. And then I think it was somewhere around episode 5 or 6, we had recurring guests, like Kingsley was on a lot, and I was on a lot. And eventually, I started, when you sent out your podcast notes, it was like, Ken and Hart, basically, because I'm the same way. I use, Bait and I both use Google Drive, constantly having stuff shared through Google Drive and notes and things like that. So, I said, if you ever need any help or anything, it's like, you want to, I would join, he would come in and it's like, hey, you want to join this week? It's like, yeah, sure. I'd do that, it's late night kind of thing. So I would join. And then eventually I just became part of the co-host group. So it was really kind of 3 of us really doing it. And then after a while, Zoltanki kind of was having some personal stuff. So he kind of bailed out. So it was really just, it was Gunbait, myself. And then we would have, we'd have Kingsley on a lot, and Dino, and pretty much anybody else that came in. Elmer was on a few times, and occasionally we would do live streams as well for some of those things.
Well, so give me the elevator pitch here. How do you how would you define your podcast? I mean, what is the basis of your podcast? Is it just a hangout, or does it have a message or a certain thing you want to talk about?
In the very beginning, it was, yet another Destiny podcast. So we would cover the news, we would cover the state of things, what we're doing, and what are we doing for this week? We didn't say the reset, but it was kind of like modeled a little bit after DR
Destiny reset, right?
Yeah, and after a while, we're like, you know what? Everybody else is covering the news directly, so we would do maybe highlights of it. We wouldn't read right from the TWA, but we would do some highlights and talk about things. So I would say we're basically a podcast by the Dawg, gaming clan, for anybody who wants to listen, bunch of chill guys enjoying gaming, specifically Destiny, but occasionally we do other games, and we'll talk about game industry topics, things like that. Still primary focus has been Destiny traditionally, but we will actually go out of it, especially during certain droughts. And it's been interesting because there was a time last year where we had to do basically a transition. So last year was a little bit of a tough year, and I had some personal stuff with one of my sons, and Gunbait was having some issues. So we kind of went into like a hiatus that year, and it was interesting because we always tease Sin about this, because Sin was announced as a 3rd co-host right around last year this time frame, and that's when all the crap went down. So like my son was in CHOP for a while in Children's Hospital Philadelphia for about a month, and he's doing great now, but like that was a very tough time frame and just didn't have time for podcasting, and even though game would be an outlet. And then Gunbait was going through some stuff at work and such, so we weren't recording, and then we joked about like we do some live streams, and then sometimes they wouldn't get posted, and so we had a couple lost episodes and stuff. But eventually it's like I just can't right now. I got too much stuff going on, I can't do this. And then once my son got kind of clear of this stuff, Rob and I kind of talked, and because Rob was never really, he was a guest occasionally, but he was never really a primary on it. It's like, I still want to have the podcast. I think it's good for the clan, it's good to get our name out, it's also good to have discussion, like let's highlight some more of the team members, like people that normally you wouldn't have highlight, kind of like what you guys do, like bring in community members. So initially we just kind of focused on Hoot Dawg clan members, but then we've kind of branched out at different times. One of the more recent, back in the end of the last year, we had Poop Shizzle on. Actually, I don't think he's been on your show. He's the one I'd actually recommend. He's really a great guy.
I listened to that episode. I was listening to it. Yeah.
He's a great guy, and he hasn't been as much into Destiny recently, but he's a variety streamer, but he's a great guy and a very interesting guest and such, and a lot of stuff they're talking about. So, and we've had other folks in there. We actually, and like I said, we haven't recorded recently, so it seems like every year right around January, February more time frame, we've had some challenges. But like this year was not the health issues. It was basically me moving and just time frame. So we're actually recording. We're gonna actually be recording in the next few days. We were talking about like either Sunday or Monday doing a recording.
Cool.
So we're probably gonna have one that's going to be coming out hopefully very similar time frame when this comes out. So
good deal.
But yeah, so we didn't go away. Just and really, it's anything. It's any kind of discussions about life and gaming and some entertainment. When it was Gunbait, it was more like probably more variety talk because he's very eclectic with his decisions and stuff and his interests. He's all over the place. Like Star Citizen and his new games now. He's been into Astroneer and stuff. So we'll talk about those games. And I tend to do that a little bit more recently as well. Whereas Rob tends to be traditionally, he'll play like Forza and Destiny. Those are his two primary games.
That sounds like somebody I know.
Yeah, so he's definitely a Destiny guy, and even though he'll complain, and we always joke the Raging Cajun because he gets a little salty about stuff. We always joke about passing the salt. When that emote came out, he had to have it because that was so like, I'm playing cheap, but
little seasoning,
got a little seasoning in there,
That's cool.
But yeah, we it's a great cast, and we tend to have team members that are on as well as anybody else that comes on. But I think recently, it's been challenged, but we're gonna get back to it again.
Cool.
It's fun. I just enjoy it. Like I do enjoy the process. And I never did podcasting before. I pretty much was in technology, as I said, for my life.
Right.
But I was into different photo editing and video editing and audio. But I never really did podcasting. It was one area I never had to do. So,
now, do you do the editing, or does someone else do that?
Yeah, I actually learned that from Gunbait. So Gunbait, when we were recording, he did everything. So I would just come up, join. I would do the notes. So I was the again the detail oriented guy who would like, all right, well here's the notes, here's the TWAB, here's my summaries. I even did that in our clan actually. I haven't done it as much recently because I've been kind of a little bit less into it. But like whenever there was a stream, I would summarize it for everybody. Like and I would do like live blogging as the stream was happening. Like, hey, if you're not able to watch it, so like others like Kingsley and Sen, others would appreciate because they maybe not near a computer to watch it, so they would see me like, oh look, they just announced this and they announced this and stuff. So I'd do a lot of that. So I would do the notes, but then he would do the recording. So when we transitioned the keys, as we call it, he basically showed me how to do it and what the basic deets are there, and we use CraigBot and Audacity and other sort of things to kind of
good old Craig.
Yeah, CraigBot. We've actually had pretty good success with CraigBot. We learned that initially. We at first we tried to do just Audacity with individual tracks.
Right, that's really hard.
It is, and actually, funny enough, because the episode that I was on initially with Dino and everybody, the timing was off, and so when I was joking with Gunbait, we were in party chat one time. I was like, "Yeah, the episode was great, but like it sounded like I was constantly like talking over somebody or interrupting Zoltanki,
Yeah.
And I was like, and it had nothing to do with that. I was like, I know I tend to.
You're just trying to blend the tracks in. I get it.
Yeah, so he's like, and so he did this whole like apology the next podcast. I was actually just, I was like, oh, sorry, he's a terrible person. ClearNite talks over everybody. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. He's an amazing people. Like, if anything, he's like, not that. So, just for anybody. I was like, no, you didn't have to do it that much. He got a little gushy on it, but I'm like, that's fine. I'm just joking. So
cool.
That's funny. Well, hey, outside of gaming and that kind of thing, what are your hobbies? Are there any hobbies outside of gaming anyway?
Nowadays, not so much because of the kids, right? So I think the biggest thing I used to be I'm like Gator, like what you live now is what I used to do a lot of. I used to watch a lot of movies. My wife and I would always go out to movies and watch movies and TV shows and stuff. That's a little bit challenging nowadays, even though it's kind of now changed to a different type of movie. So we'll still go out nowadays to kid movies and stuff. But always into like pop culture and movies and television and things like that. In terms of personal like hobbies, I actually for a while was really into. I used to play pool when I was a kid. Like I used to love playing pool. My brother,
yeah.
We just go out to the pool hall. I just play lots of pool and darts and things like that. And that was fun because I was actually, I had friends in high school, but I was actually always with my big brother. Like, so he would always take me places. We'd go see movies, and he's a big movie buff. So like he would take me to movies that I probably really shouldn't be going to. It was legally there, but he was kind of like a guardian. He was old enough that they didn't ever worry about it.
We've all been there. We've all been there, man.
So I would do that. So I was always into that pop culture and pool and that stuff. And then for a while, I was actually into a lot of poker. I played a lot of poker with my companies. So Texas Hold'em and some of those games. So I used to get that into it. Actually, when I was moving, I found my two poker sets, like my cases, because they're like the clay cases with the casino cards and stuff. Right. So like I was really into it.
You're
so
hardcore.
Like, I was hardcore, and I was like, these are heavy cases. I'm like, what are these again? So oh yes, I found them, and I had two. I forget why I had two, but I had two. It's because we would have tournaments at our work and stuff. So
gotta have the chips, man. Gotta have the chips.
Gotta have the chips, and it's big. And the cards, especially the cards, just move like butter. You just kind of like just toss them across. Use once, then you can buy them used, for one-time use from a casino.
Well, I tell you what, man. I know we got to move on here, but I just wanted to thank you for talking about your life a little bit, man, tonight.
No, I appreciate it.
I know we got a lot to cover here going ahead, so we're going to go ahead and move along. I think we got a speed run to do here, don't we, Hazel?
I believe so.
So. Well, let's see. Sen has the record, right? 26?
Yeah, I was like, I was gonna be giving Mitchie. I was playing with Mitchie the other night actually, and I was gonna say I didn't had quite listen to the episode at the time with him, so I didn't really I didn't know
Yeah.
about Sin yet. I was like, but I heard that he had his
Sin
name
was a
changed and stuff,
machine. He was
and
a
I listened to Sin.
machine.
It's like 26. Like, damn.
I almost ran out of questions. I was like, I was panicking. I was panicking a little bit. I was looking for my other question list.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was crazy. Well, I tell you
Yep.
what, let's get to it. We'll be right back.
Call the Praxic Order. Call the Thanatonauts, the Jinsen Scribes. Call everyone so they can witness you.
All right, boys and girls, it's that time of the week. This segment is called the Speed Run. This is where we have a database of over 125 randomly asked questions, and ClearNite here is going to have 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. These are short 1 or 2 word answers, and we're going to keep track of how many questions were answered by each of our guests each week, and the questions are randomly asked, so no one can memorize the order, so whatever you do, answer quickly, whatever comes to mind. At the end of the year, the guest with the most questions answered will win a prize. Tonight, I'm going to ask the questions randomly from our list, as usual. Hazel is our timekeeper and quality control expert. In the event of a questionable answer, as far as context, Hazel's decision will be final. You ready, Hazel? You got everything set up?
Yes, sir.
ClearNite, how you? You good?
I'm doing good. You got my link there, PayPal, Hazel? You got that good? All right.
Yeah, that bought you an extra 15
He
seconds.
he has let everybody know that he does take Venmo. So,
Yep.
all right, cool deal. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Taken King or Forsaken?
Taken.
Grenades or melees?
Grenades.
Ikora, Cade, or Zavala?
Ikora.
Would you rather be famous or unknown?
Unknown.
Are you ticklish?
Yes.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
What is your favorite restaurant?
Italian. Anything Italian.
Destiny 1 or 2?
1.
Fallen, Vex, or Cabal?
Fallen.
How many jumbo marshmallows can you put in your mouth?
24.
Think thick or skinny fries?
Thick.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Last word or ace of spades?
Last word.
What's one thing we would find in your gaming space?
Lots of drinks and beer.
Horror movies, yes or no?
No.
Anna Bray or Ada 1?
Anna Bray.
Is Telesto the besto?
No.
Void, solar, or arc?
Void.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Star Trek or Wars?
Trek.
Pineapple on
Pine-
pizza?
Yep.
We'll give him that one. I got it out. Good
Well,
deal.
I stopped it, but sure. Okay.
Yeah, I was able to get it out as you were saying time. We're going to give him that one. So, well, not
It's just-
bad, man.
It's a critical question, like pineapple. I'm like, I don't know what the hate is on that.
Yeah, I know. You gotta, it comes up randomly. So
I know.
that one tends to come up a lot. I'll just be honest. That one comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a little manipulation on that one.
That comes up in a lot of Twitter questions too. So
I know, exactly.
it's a big
Yeah, my favorite-
war.
My favorite thing there was how quickly you answered 24 with how many marshmallows you could fit in your mouth.
I thought that would throw him, but it didn't. He just rolled
Yeah.
right with it.
I didn't even remember that question as one of the options. Actually, I was just like, 24, because I remember playing my niece's 16th a few years ago, and they were doing was it Chubby Bunny or something? Something where you have to fit all the marshmallows in your mouth. and
Right,
stuff.
right.
And I don't remember exactly, but it was like, I know it was something 20 something. Like, I don't remember Jumbo or not. But whatever.
That question was put in by one of our community members last year. I don't know who. I can't remember who said it, but I thought, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Hazel,
awesome.
Hazel, what do we got?
25.
Very nice.
Nice. Very nice.
Very nice, man.
Respectable.
That's very,
Very
respectable.
respectable.
Hey, as long as I got better than Bud and Kingsley, I'm good.
Well, you did. Yeah. Well, yeah. Kingsley wants a rematch. He's already made it official.
No, that's all good. And Sin, I know he's a sales guy, man. He's gonna get these.
Dude,
fast.
I was shocked, man. He threw me off last week. In fact, I made the list even longer. I listed 35 questions tonight. I was like, I'm not taking any damn chances. So, well, hey, man, good deal. Good job, man. That's
Thanks.
very
Appreciate
respectable.
it.
Very respectable.
Solid.
Yep.
Just a side note, we do have a channel in our Discord called Speedrun Question Ideas. If you have an idea you think might be good in our speedrun next year in season 3, throw it in there and we'll be sure to pin it and save it, and we will put it in next year's speedrun. So good deal. All right. Well, let's move on. Hey, with the times we're in right now, being that everyone is sequestered at home, I think this topic is more important than ever. This is what we have been watching this week in the world of entertainment. And ClearNite, since you're our guest, I'm going to start with you. What have you been watching this week, man?
Sure. I mean, during the day, it's definitely obviously kiddo stuff. So, but one of the things we did do is we did purchase Onward because it was made available.
Yeah.
I
That's
was actually
right.
looking forward to seeing that in the theater anyway because I love Chris Pratt. He can't do anything wrong for me. Like I love that guy. Like
Okay.
even his Twitter and stuff, he's awesome to me. And the very fact you have Holland in that too. So I was sold when I first saw the preview for that. And hey, it's adult stuff. But I still love my cartoons, man. I still like all that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
absolutely, dude.
And it's I can live vicariously through my boys because I know they kind of wanted to see it.
Right.
So we did buy that, and I enjoyed it. Like I thought it was really good. I mean, again, it's got the fantasy kind of theme to it, but I like those. I mean, Disney always has this, but I like movies that also have a great plot to it. So like Onward is definitely one that I thought had a really good premise to it, and I'm not going to spoil at the end, but I think the way that they kind of ended, the way that they resolved it, was awesome to me, especially for my history and background. I don't want to go too far into it, but like, when you have, you're doing a quest with your older brother and stuff, that's kind of a cool thing. So that kind of clicked with me too.
And
So I think that was,
this was and not to cut you off, but this was one of the ones that was at the movie, and since the movie theaters closed, they
yep,
decided
exactly.
to release it through streaming methods.
Yeah, no, definitely, and actually, I think the next one will probably be like Trolls. I think there's a Trolls one coming out, and
Oh, okay.
my boys love Trolls and stuff, and the songs and stuff. I always actually kind of enjoy those too. I like to watch kid ones that I don't mind watching. Right?
Well,
Like,
when you have 5-year-olds, I mean, you really don't have much
yeah,
choice until
yeah.
they're dead asleep.
No, definitely. And so I go into like what I watch with the kids is movie wise and the family, and then I watch the stuff with myself or my wife. Recently, just with everything moving and the kids being on our sort of like floor right now, as our room is started kind of being assembled. My wife kind of goes early, and she's kind of hasn't been watching as much with me. So I've been kind of like, we used to have our own shows. Like I know it resonates when you guys talk about like, well, that's a show I watch with my wife, right? So for a while there's certain shows I reserve, but like there's certain ones I'm like, I can't wait on. I can't. It was like that with Walking Dead for years when I was watching it. I haven't watched it recently. I'm like, she's like, why did you watch Walking Dead? It's like, because one day they're going to be talking
I totally
about
get it, man. I totally get you. I really do.
And at times I'd be like faking that I didn't watch it. And then she would say like, you watched this, didn't you? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I had to, honey.
Possibly.
Yeah. So, but that's definitely, I definitely recommend Onward, especially if you have some kids and stuff, that it would be good. Even if you don't have kids, I think it's actually a really good story. I think I can appreciate there's so many bad kid movies
Yeah.
that I can actually appreciate. Even the ones that are like borderline, I can appreciate when I can watch it multiple times.
Right.
Case in point, like Moana is one of my favorite Disney movies now because it's just awesome music to it, and I've watched it 8 million times. When they were 3, like it was every day, once or twice. Moana and Sing. Those are the two. Like Sing is another one I recommend.
Yep.
I haven't seen. Like it's another one I can actually still keep watching. Sing. I probably watched it over 100 times. It still doesn't bother me. Like I can watch because it's mostly music, right? So I enjoy that. Plus, it has the whole music theme thing, which I know you like, and I actually do like those shows as well. So, that kind of clicks with me. And then we watch a lot of Boomerang, which has a lot of the old school cartoons and stuff on it.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
subscribe to that. And my boys are into big Scooby-Doo kick. So that's even the 70s as well as the new stuff.
Baby.
Love the Scooby-Doo. And actually all the 70 ones I remember. I can remember all that one. Even the bad 80 ones with like Scrappy-Doo, which we shall not talk of. But like they still love those.
We don't mention that one.
But they still love them. So it's like, and then some of the recent ones, they actually have a couple new seasons, new series
Of
that
Scooby-Doo?
are out. So yeah, they got one that just came out this year. It's a Scooby-Who or Scooby-Doo with Who or something. And they basically have a guest star. So like, they go on the whole guest star thing.
Okay.
So like they had Ricky Gervais. They had, there's a white, it was the one comic, Gaffigan was on it, so like,
wow.
And they had Wonder Woman. So like, my boys are into superheroes and stuff. And my one boy, Owen, loves Wonder Woman. So that was another one. Batman, they had Batman and stuff. So like they have those this year. So it's, Boomerang is definitely worth the price of admission on that alone. So
nice.
Watch some stuff. So definitely like that. We also did buy Frozen 2. We did see it in the theaters before it did go out. Which I enjoyed. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the first one, and thankfully my guys are, I'm not to generalize too much, but they were really not into Frozen 1 too much. I think they probably got a little bit more into it now than they were when they first saw it. They were kind of like tuned out of it, but I really enjoyed Frozen 2 compared to first. I really thought much better movie. I think for me, and it was gorgeous. I saw it in the theater there, so like at first, so it was like amazing, especially the scene with the water and the stallion and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. It's just gorgeous movie, and I thought it had an interesting plot. The first one was kind of, to me, weak. Great music, but like weak plot. Second one, I think, had maybe music wasn't quite as catchy, not as pop songy, but I think the plot was way better. So just from my point of view, so those are the couple of the movies, and then we watched the Sonic movie with the boys, which I was pleasantly surprised about. Like again, know your expectations, but I actually enjoyed that. So it's campy, it's goofy, but like it's a kids movie. It's one of those like I wasn't feeling like mind numbed watching it. Put in perspective. I put in perspective like, is it as bad as like the buddy movies, like Christmas Buddies, and if anybody knows like the little dog puppies, like I cannot stand those movies because just dialogue just kills me. So like I can appreciate those. And then we also did watch Detective Pikachu, which again I had really really low expectations for. Was pleasantly surprised with it actually.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not
I
a Pokemon
saw
fan
that
at
too.
all. Not a big fan of Pokemon at all. So I know that's your guys' thing the last couple weeks, but now my guys are going Pikachu. Like okay, whatever. And they haven't gotten to that stage yet, but I did like Ryan Reynolds in that as well. I thought that was a good I thought it was all Deadpool and all that stuff would kind of tarnish me a little bit, but it actually worked for me. And I think that was another one. I liked the plot line on that. I thought it had a really nice maybe a little campy, but nice plot to it.
I heard it got better ratings than people thought it would.
Yeah, no, I think you go into a movie like with the expectations. You have to do that. With
it's a kids movie. You got to have that expectation. You're not looking for you're not looking to grade it as a grade A drama or something. You have to you have to grade it on a scale, so to speak.
No, definitely. So now from an adult perspective, like just not kid stuff, I enjoy those. I've been very much similar to what you guys have been watching. I think I finally watched Better Call Saul when it was on the first season live.
Oh, yeah.
Had it recorded, and then I used TiVo. So the second season got kind of gunked up on my TiVo box, and so I kind of was like, all right, I'll wait till it streams. And I had never gotten back to it until just recently. So I binge watched season 2, 3. I forget how many there are now.
Well, there's on Netflix
5 now, right?
1 through 4 is available on Netflix right now. That's what I did. Is I think I stopped right around 2.5. My wife and I think our DVR was messing up and we missed a few episodes. And once you miss one episode, they chain together.
Yeah.
So my wife is still pissed I'm caught up on it because she wants to catch up on it now.
Yeah, my wife's like, I'm starting to watch this. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Episode 5. Episode 5 is what comes out live now on AMC. AMC.
And it's funny because you get so spoiled with like Netflix. I do this with any of them. It's like anytime I download the AMC app, so I was caught up, and I got up to last week. So it's every Friday, I think, a new episode comes out, right? I believe. So I haven't seen tonight's yet, but I saw everything up to that. So
I just saw it. Yeah, I just saw it.
Okay, so I'm loving it, and my favorite is Saul's good, but I love Mike. Mike is my favorite character.
And awesome.
Mike.
Yeah,
he's just so great.
Just
and then
no
Nacho,
bullshit.
And Nacho's pretty cool too. So
I like you understand Nacho. You understand what pickles in. He's trying to protect his dad, and he's in such a slimy business, and he realizes there's no turning back.
Yeah, and then the background of how they got Hector with the bell, like I thought that was awesome. Like that finally, like I was like, yes, finally with the bell. I was like, guys, so miserable. But
it all ties in, but I don't want to give away too much.
Sorry, I won't say how, but he did eventually get a bell.
Yeah.
Because if you saw Breaking Bad, you kind of know this.
Yeah, you're like, how did he get this stupid bell strapped to his wheelchair?
You find out, I think 2 episodes ago, or maybe last episode. I forget which.
I think it's 3 episodes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
interesting.
So it was really good. So I highly recommend that if you haven't. And that was one I've always liked. I like Breaking Bad. We binge watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like wait on shows, and that was one I wasn't really into. And that was one like Breaking Bad was a great show, but like we were both watching that at the same time, and my wife and I, and we were stalling right around 2 or 3 because after a while you start like there's nobody redeeming on the show. Like after why am I watching? And I know it's the fall of man and the depreciation of a person's morality and all that, but after a while you're like, and he's in his tidy whities and stuff. It's like I don't need to see him in his tidy whities anymore. Like stop showing that. You know what I mean? So like after a while, we still loved it, and then eventually it kicked back up again, and we loved it to the very end. So you know
what I love about those shows. I'm talking about Better Call Saul. I'm combining that with Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Is they'll have episodes just on one character and give them and they'll introduce you to their background and how they became where they're at. I love that. I love Vince Gilligan does that.
Yep.
And
it's great.
Just the writing is. I mean, it's one of my favorite shows on TV right now.
AMC is really nailing it. And I think you mentioned the other show that I want to watch, but I haven't had a chance to watch yet. Is that the Jill Siegel one or the Siegel one?
Yeah, it's he made me put me on my. Let me get to my script here.
Yeah.
On my list of stuff I watched. It's called Dispatches from Elsewhere. I just watched the latest episode of that too. It's starting to come together. It's starting to come together now. I'm just telling you, it's out there. You got to have a really open mind. But if you're looking for something not really run of the mill, you want something new to watch. That's a good show, man.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. And then the other thing I've been watching is I've been up to date. I finally re-binged watched Altered Carbon season 1 because we were watching it with my wife for a while, and I could feel she wasn't getting into it, and I'd watch it, but it was the first few episodes I think were a little bit hard to click with, and I never really clicked with it. And then eventually once it hit like maybe fourth or fifth episode, then it really started to hit it, right?
Takes off running, then everything makes everything that you were questioning in the first three episodes all comes together, and then now you understand.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So I ended up finishing that up during this whole like move and everything like this, and then season 2 just came out, so I'm actually 3 episodes in now. So I actually am enjoying it. It's still in that foundation stage for me. Like
they have to start over, and because the first season of Altered Carbon came out so long ago. Like I forgot a lot of the premise of the story, so I think they're trying to rebuild it a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely.
So hang in there. I heard from what Sin told me, it gets really good. So.
Yeah, I heard that he had watched the whole thing, so that gives me a good hope for that. And I like the fact that they did change the character, because one of the things I wasn't the biggest fan of the main character. Like I like the plot and stuff, but for some reason he just never clicked with me.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Just something about him just never really clicked. So, and then another one that I've been watching from the beginning that I loved and it finally came out was Man in the High Castle.
Yeah,
again, kind of going back to the whole World War II. I love that show.
That definitely relates to you. I mean that.
Yeah. And I've always liked the alternate. Like I used to read a lot of like Harry Turtledove, which used to do like alternate, like what if the South won, or similar kind of stuff, right? So when I heard about this series, I was like, all right, it's Amazon Prime, and I'm a big Amazon guy, so like I liked it from the beginning. And then when it first came out, I was starting to watch it, but I was hoping my wife would kind of like start to watch, and it's like, all right, it was another one like, all right, she got a little far behind, so I'll have to do some catch up later. But
and to our listeners who don't know this show, it's what if the Nazis had won.
Yeah,
the World War II instead of the Allied powers.
Yeah, and it's really great. Like the dynamic between the Japanese Empire and the Nazis is the most interesting part. Yes. They took over the West Coast, and then there's the No Man Land, which is the Fud country, as I call it. And
it's very good. It's very good. I mean, and you have two different cultures that are clashing there. Yes. I mean, they both, one bombed Pearl Harbor and one took over through Europe, and it's amazing how they all came together. Now that I wasn't really a fan of the final season. I think they just ran out of. I think the story just ran out of gas. But I tell you what, though, if you watch the first 2 seasons, you'll be perfectly happy just with those.
Yeah, I would agree. The third season, I haven't finished the 4th yet. I'm into like 2 episodes in. So, and it started going in a direction that I was like, okay, it can go one of 2 ways. I'm like, all right, it's kind of going there. It's like, all right, that's that. The 3rd season wasn't my favorite. It started to get a little bit weaker.
Maybe I'll pick up on the 4th and watch it again.
Yeah. It might be okay. Another one I don't think you guys have mentioned, but I started watching, which was funny. My mother-in-law was over and we were just watching stuff. Raising Dion. It's actually, I don't know if you've seen that yet.
What service is this on?
It's on Netflix.
I believe it's Netflix.
Raising Dion. D-I-O-N?
D-E-O-N or D-I-O-N. I forget it, but it's basically you'll find it.
Okay.
Raising Dion, and basically it's kind of a superhero movie, I guess, a show in a sense, but it's a African American single mother who has a small child, like probably he's like 5 or 6, I think, something like that, preschool. So it kind of resonates a little with me. And all of a sudden, he starts demonstrating that he has some powers, whether it's psychic powers or whatever it is, and the characters resonate. Like, and there's a friend of the family, and she's a single mom because the father had passed away through some unusual circumstances. So it actually has a really interesting plot line. I think they're trying to make it out to be a family movie because it seems fairly clean. Like, it's probably, my wife tried to watch a little bit with the boys and it was getting a little scary for them, so it's probably not quite their age yet. But I think if you have younger kids, like maybe like 7 or 8 and older, and actually from my side, I've watched 3 episodes. We started watching one and then it says, hey, let's watch another. And I looked at her again, like before she went home the other day. And I was like, watch the 3rd? It's like, yeah, let's watch the 3rd. And she started falling asleep during it because it's just what happens. But it's really good. So far, I can only say 3 episodes in, but it's interesting, and I think it's probably worth time. So it's a unique one. I didn't know about it. Just got featured.
Good deal. I'll check that out.
Yep, definitely good. And I know Westworld just came out. I actually was one who was late to the game on Westworld. I had canceled my HBO maybe about 6 months ago, so I was doing the app version when I went through season 1 and 2 and thing until 3 is done and out, so that way I can then pick it up for a month and just binge watch it. Because
Yeah.
I find I have a very difficult time waiting for next week. Like even the Better Call Saul is just killing me now. Like
Yeah, no,
I get so
it's
used to
all
binge
live.
watching, and I like the fact that there is, when it's done, that you have an ending, and that's kind of.
Yeah.
I like the fact that, especially with HBO, because trying to cost and everything.
Well,
so
from what I heard, Better Call Saul, they're going to finish this season here.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have one more season, I think next spring, 2021, and then that's going to be it. It'll be and I think Vince Gilligan even said it might go even further into the Breaking Bad story, further than people think. So
that'd be
I'm
interesting.
waiting to see. So far, I've been damn happy with that show. It's a very entertaining show. I'm on pins and needles every time I watch it.
Yeah, I enjoy the characters too. It's definitely something that you like to see, and they you really have 3 main threads of thought basically with 3 characters. So I like those kind of shows too. When they kind of do that. So
yeah.
But those are the ones I've been kind of watching. I've been waiting on Westworld till it's over, and then I'm gonna get the app and then I'll download it. And watch it.
Oh, you're gonna binge it. I got you.
And I'll binge it. Yep.
Well, Mr. Hazelnut, what about you, man?
All right. So, for me, I'm like looking at my list here because I was like maybe last night I realized like, holy shit, I've watched a lot of shit.
Well,
So
you've been home. You've been home like a lot of us.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, well, Top Chef came back. So
oh God, my wife loves.
we've been
show.
watching that.
Yeah,
I love it. It's fantastic to watch, and this is all stars, so it's like people from like past seasons.
Oh wow, yeah.
Come back, and
I was watching a little bit of it today.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We're gonna watch probably the 2nd episode probably tomorrow. So,
Okay.
We're still plugging away on You, getting that through.
That's right.
It's I think we have like 2 episodes left. We kind of gave up on it for a little bit,
That's kind of what I did. Yeah.
and then we didn't have anything else to watch, so we're like, we'll go ahead and just pick back up with this. So, and that show is a train wreck. I mean, it really is. You just start watching it, and you're like, this cannot end well at all, but you just can't turn away.
Yeah. What do you think of what do you think of Westworld this week?
I actually haven't watched it this week.
Huh?
So,
Shaq, hold on, Shax. What do you got to say about that?
What? What? How? Where's my catharsis? Boo. Boo!
Oh, okay.
Nah,
Shax will
man,
say
I told you, man.
Shaq will say
Yep. He did tell me there. I feel
told. You got told.
I feel like I'm scum of the earth. Moving on. I started watching that one show on Hulu called Dave. It's about Little Dicky, the rapper.
Okay.
And it's just so wrong. So wrong.
Huh.
But absolutely hilarious though. My wife, like, I watched like the first 2 episodes, and then my wife came in and we were like, tell me what you think about this. So she watched the first episode, and at the end of it, she laughed a couple times, like really solid laughs. And then she looks at me and goes, she's like, yeah, I'm not the target audience for this. And she got up and walked away. And yeah, I mean, she definitely is not the target audience, I would say. But yeah, so it's really funny though if you're looking for a good laugh.
I'm glad
then,
someone on our show is representing Hulu.
Yeah, actually, I
tried.
tried for a while. I used to subscribe, and then I would delay it every once in a while, and I kind of gave up on it when I was trying to watch Legion. Like, I watched the first season of Legion, loved it, and I tried to watch second season, but I had the ad version, right? Because I'm already paying. I refuse to pay the non-ad version. It's out of principle. I just can't. And so I tried watching the first episode of Legion season 2, and I actually rage quit. Because
I can't stand that. I can't. You get into the show and all of a sudden you have to watch 90 seconds of ads. You're like, what?
Right. And I don't mind it in some, like, I could do it even AMC, but whatever. Like, Legion is impossible to watch if you're breaking it every 5 minutes. Like, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell's going on here, and then a commercial comes on. I'm like, I was not even kidding. I like, if I had the controller, I had to put it down. Like, I'm rage quitting. I'm done. I just can't.
See, you're probably of the DVR like I am, where you're used to fast forward through the commercials. And then when you realize it's not fast forwarding, you're like, it'll give you that little message like, NBC does not allow fast forwarding. I'm like, well,
yes. I'm like, bull.
I'm out.
And I have a TiVo that I can hit the one button and it'll advance through all the commercials. So I got spoiled with that. So like, bam, like so, yeah.
I get it, man.
That's hilarious.
So
well, my wife and I, we've cut the cord. I don't know how long ago, but yeah, it's been easily maybe a year, 2 years, something like that. So my daughter, like, she went over to my in-laws. She's like, what's this? And my mother-in-law's like, oh, that's a commercial. And my daughter's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, like, no network TV really. I mean, if we do, it's on Hulu, and we do the ad-free Hulu just because it's, you know, it's just annoying to get ads.
It's like, I think it's like $5.99 with ads and $15, I think, without.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Whatever.
It probably is. I just had to. There's so many little networks that I had to kind of like draw a line. Like even HBO, I'm like waiting until the end. I actually really been tempted with CBS, especially with Picard coming out and all. And I think I've read something where it's going to be free for a month, or
it's free for a month. Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, I may end up binge watching Picard and maybe the Star Trek because I haven't watched any of the Star Trek.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that.
Yeah, I've heard Discovery is fantastic.
Discovery, yeah.
I'll talk about that as well.
Yep. So I'm really tempted, but it was just one of those things like I can't do it just yet, you know, because I got my backlog of things, and most of the nights is if I'm not watching, I'm gaming, so it's like, you know, it's kind of hard.
Well, I'll tell you what, FX now has all these original programs that are coming to Hulu, and I might actually go ad-free Hulu at least to watch, because they're starting to get a lot of original programming. Hulu used to be just where you could go if you missed your main shows on the networks, and for a while we did that, and they had like a couple little original programming here and there. But now, from what I'm hearing, they're getting a lot more original programming, and that's what I subscribe to.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that some of the shows are like really kind of weird, but some of it though, it just it's like they do something for everybody kind of thing.
Okay, all right.
It's like if whatever your, I don't know, in a weird way, like whatever your kink is, they got something for you.
Right.
So, and then I actually finished season 1. I think I'm halfway through season 2 of Kingdom, which is a Korean show about basically there's a set in, I think it's like feudal Japan.
Yeah, you were mentioning last week.
Yeah, and the king is dead, and they end up reviving him as a zombie. Well,
black magic.
No, not really.
No,
but no, but they end up reviving him, and then he's a zombie, so he ends up biting somebody, and then it spreads from there.
Holy shit!
So it's kind of like Game of Thrones mixed with The Walking Dead, because there's this whole political thing where the son is being like as an outcast, and people want him to be a leader. The queen is in charge, and it's just fun to see all the political stuff going on in the midst of like people getting eaten and things like that.
Now, forgive me, this is Netflix again?
Yeah, Netflix.
Okay. I gotta look it up.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I do have to say about this is that this show gives zero fucks.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's
they don't care about offending anybody, huh?
No. And for real, it's like children and babies getting eaten.
I like it.
No,
not that part, but I like shows that are daunting and do that stuff.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, oh well, there's a baby, somebody will come through and save the baby at the last minute, and it's like, oh no,
there's a line somewhere there, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's not gratuitous or anything like that.
Okay, it's just implied. I get you.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just, that happened.
I don't know if I see someone eating
realistic
a baby.
Almost.
If I see someone chomping in on a baby, I think that's going to be crossing the line for me. But if it's implied and it's not shown, it's not gratuitous, then I'm good with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with
and
like
stuff
implied stuff, but like when it's too gratuitous or too I mentioned no to horror, and that was true. It's like I like movies that are like suspenseful, or like Alien, for example, is one of my favorites. Like it's like you see, but you never really see a lot of it. It's
right,
and it's just
that's because your imagination is much stronger than anything they can put on a screen.
Yeah, it is completely worse than anything else you could imagine.
Sure.
Yeah.
So. And then so there's that, and then I did watch a movie. I
Okay.
couldn't sleep. Actually, what? Two more things. I'm sorry. So, in light of the whole like Pikachu thing and Pokemon thing,
Oh, I
so
meant to ask you, Hazel. How's Pikachu?
Pika, Pika.
Pikachu is fantastic. Yep, and yep, she's taken to calling me Squirtle.
Oh boy,
So
that brings back
there's
memories.
a soundbite for somebody, I'm sure. Uh,
Already
but
done.
yeah, exactly. So so we started watching the anime of Pokemon from like back in 2000,
Wow.
and my daughter absolutely loves it. Even my wife's getting a kick out of it because she doesn't know anything about Pokemon or anything like
That's
that.
what my son grew up on, was those animes.
Yeah, and I had a brief flirtation with Pokemon way back when, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Nice.
So yeah,
Very
so we're
cool.
watching it, and I mean, my daughter is cracking up and things like that. So, and so yeah, we're watching that on it's on Netflix, and that's Pokemon Indigo League. And then aside from all that, the one movie I did watch was Upgrade,
Mm.
which is from Lee Whannell, the guy who he did some like Saw movie, like the original trilogy of Saw movies.
What? No, Upgrade. What's this about?
Um, it's well, real quick. He also did he directed and wrote The Invisible Man.
Okay.
And
Wait a
I
minute.
wanna
The latest movie?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So Upgrade is about this guy, and he basically gets into an accident with his wife, and he ends up getting a thing put in the back of his head that basically makes him superhuman.
Wow.
When it's all like it's this like little microchip kind of thing that gives him the ability to kind of fight, walk, run, do whatever he wants to do, and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's not for the faint of heart either. It's a little graphic because, long story short, the wife ends up getting killed, so he gets this chip put in his head and becomes a vigilante.
And this again is Netflix?
No, this was on HBO.
Okay. Thanks for mentioning. I'm glad I asked because I like to clarify for our audience so they know where to go to look.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
But
man.
yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. It was like
Lots of blood and gore in your house this week, I see.
yeah, exactly. Well, what kind of tripped me out though is with Kingdom, it was like maybe the end of the first season. It's only 6 episodes a season too.
Right.
So at the end of the season, they started calling like the zombie outbreak a pandemic. So I was like, I
Okay.
probably shouldn't be watching this right now because fuck.
Well, I have a comment about that as well.
So,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
What about you, man?
Well, you know, the movie theaters are closed, so it's all about home entertainment. So the first thing I was watching, of course, is the latest episode of Westworld. I saw it. It's on every Sunday on HBO. And
What'd you think?
I've
heard that the reviews dropped for it.
Yeah, they did. This one confused me a bit because one of the main characters, and I'm not going to say anything specific, comes back to the main world again looking for something. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here, man? Why are you back here? And when you see it, you'll understand it. It was a little confusing. I was like, this is dead air, man. This is dead time. This has nothing to do with what's going on right now. And I was a little pissed. I was a little irritated, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm going to be here next
with
Sunday waiting to watch the next one. So
the thing is with that show, though, is that especially after season 2, you pretty much have to just kind of
go with the flow.
Trust. Yeah, you just kind of have to trust that they get their shit together.
You hope that it ends up somewhere, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll just say it diverted a little bit. It was one of those diversion episodes, so just keep that in mind. I saw the series finale of This Is Us, and I know Chubby Wizard likes this show too.
Series finale of This Is Us?
I think
season finale?
No, I think this was the series finale. I think this was it.
No.
I'm pretty sure because the way it ended was very final. I'll just say that.
No.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll just leave it open. And you can say I told you so when it comes back in the fall.
No, I'll be able to tell you if
in 60 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Has my show been canceled? He's looking up basically website.
I tell you what though, this was a really emotional ending. It's just a fantastic show. It definitely gives you the feels. It's a drama. It's a melodrama, but it's all about
season
family.
4.
It's all about family. So it was a season 4 finale.
Yes.
So there is. You're telling me there is going to be another This Is Us.
Yes.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying the way this series ended, you'd think it was the whole thing was over. But yeah,
So
I'll leave it
did
at
they
that.
all die?
No,
No, just kidding.
no. They didn't end up on a plane, and they were actually in heaven already.
It's all a dream.
No, I won't bring up Lost. No.
I loved that show.
Yeah, don't get me started. I did see. I am going to be seeing a new show that's taking the place of This Is Us called Council of Dads. It's on NBC. I haven't watched it yet. The first episode just came out on YouTube TV for me, on the networks. So it's recorded. I'll be watching that. I'll talk about that more next week. On Netflix, oh my God, I'd laugh just thinking about it. I saw Bert Kreischer's latest comedy hour called Hey Big Boy. And Hazel, this is right up your alley, dude.
I saw that too.
Did you? I was laughing my ass off. It's very crude. It's very crude. For all the wives out there who listen, Mrs. Hazelnut, it's very crude. It's very crude. So be warned. My wife still wants to see it though. So he talks about his family, especially his 2 little daughters, and God, it's hilarious. You think Bert Kreischer is just this one pot smoking loser guy who's living in an apartment by himself with no kids or family or anything, and he's got a big gut.
That's
and
a
stuff.
heartwarming thought.
Well, no, I mean he's got a big gut, and he's he when he goes on stage, he takes his shirt off. It's the first thing he does. All his fans love it, and but really, you look into it, and he's really just an average family guy. I would never would. This is the first.
Sort of.
This is one of his. This is the first of his. This is the first comedy hour I've seen from him. So I was taken back. I thought it would be like I'm thinking Doug Benson. I'm thinking Doug Benson and all about marijuana. And that's what I always thought Bert Kreischer was about. But boy, he proved me wrong.
No.
He proved me wrong.
No.
Man, his material is fantastic. So definitely watch that.
Check out one from him called The Machine.
Okay. I was going to definitely Google and see what else he had on Netflix, because I'm sure there's a few more out there. But Hey Big Boy is his latest. Very, very good. Very funny. For us dads, it's really funny. For the girl, the women, they'll probably like it too. I started watching the Netflix documentary Pandemic, which I know what you're saying, guys. No, Gator, don't watch it. Relax. It's a realistic look of how all these heroes in the field are trying to make a difference in disease transmission. I know it sounds boring, but it's really informative. It delves into 4 or 5 different people from all over the world and their role in fighting, the spread of disease and stuff. And now that we're in a pandemic, a true pandemic, now we can kind of realize where it all leads to. But I'm on episode 5 now. It's not a bad documentary. It's really good. And it's not a panic show. It's not talking about panic, but it's giving you more of how these problems get started, where it all began. So
yep, I'm pretty sure I can speak for like maybe 3/4 of our listeners. And
no one's gonna watch it.
Nope.
No one's gonna watch it. I'm just saying it's not one of the Hollywood generated scary pandemic shows. Right. Tom Segura has a new comedy hour on Netflix called Ball Hog. I can't wait to listen. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting for my wife. Being a good dad.
Yep, I watched that actually.
Yeah,
I did.
My wife said something about drowning puppies. I'm like, okay. But I guess she didn't know the context of it, so we'll see. I'm gonna talk about that next week. I started watching a new series called 100 Humans. It's all about social experiments. I just finished the first episode.
Oh, I started seeing some. I didn't watch it, but I saw the trailer for it. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So I put it on my list. I just didn't get a chance to watch it. It was like it's census and stuff, like of how people react to toilet paper under and over, and silly things, but also more interesting things. That seems interesting.
ClearNite. It's a fun show. The first one they basically every episode has a couple experiments they want to try. And I'm going to continue watching it. I mean, it's lighthearted stuff to watch, nothing serious. If you're in the mood, that mood one night where you don't want anything too heavy, it's a good show to watch. I wrapped up the last episode 10 of this season of Picard on CBS All Access. This story comes to a great end, as all Star Trek missions do. It's done very well, and season 3 of Star Trek Discovery is coming out soon. They just advertised that. I'm still on just finished season 1 of Discovery. I'm about to binge watch season 2 here soon. But I will say this, for those who are wondering what Picard's all about, Picard is more of a slow burn, introspective Star Trek show. Discovery is like every other Star Trek. You know, it's all about all the regular. Every episode, there's some big conflict. It ends up getting solved. Moving on to the next episode, and don't get me wrong, the story does stretch from one episode to another in Discovery, but not anything like Picard. Picard is all about this one long mission. It's one long mission he goes on. I'm not gonna ruin anything, but it ends up, you know, like all Star Treks do. It ends up very hopeful. So I'll leave it at that. It is worth seeing, but I'll just warn you, if you're a Star Trek fan, it's a very slow burn. You're going to sit there going, okay, all right, already. What else are we going to do here, Picard? That's kind of the attitude I had when I was watching it, but stick with it. It does get good. It all comes together. It's kind of like Altered Carbon. It's a slow burn. You just got to get into it. So The Masked Singer, just watched the latest episode. That show just is awesome. It's such a good show. The Voice, you know, they had their first round of battle rounds this week. And this is what I'm wondering. Everything is pre-taped right now with The Voice. They're about to go to their live shows in about a month. I'm just curious.
I thought I saw something that they were, if it was that show or another that was canceled for the season or postponed. I think it was The Voice, but maybe it was another one.
If it's The Voice, they have not told us because they're still going on as planned.
Might have been Idol then, because I know they both were coming on.
It could be Idol.
Time,
it could be Idol because Idol may be more live. They may go live a lot sooner, but the battle rounds are all pre-taped. They tape this stuff back in the wintertime. So I'm just curious, you know, in a month where we stand with this, you know, with this problem we're dealing with right now. I hope it doesn't get canceled, but I guess we'll see. You know, it'd be nice if they didn't string us along and say, well, sorry, this is where the show ends. I know you're wanting to see what happens, but sorry. We'll see. Delayed
maybe or something.
Yeah.
I did actually watch a little bit of this week. That was one of the shows. I was pretty big on song shows. Like I never was into the dance shows, but like I was big into The Voice when it first came on and for seasons. And then when they started changing some of the judges around, some of them I was fond of.
I miss Adam.
I kind of you know stopped the last season. You know, I always liked Shakira was actually one of my favorite judges.
I like Shakira
for that.
Yeah, she was good.
And when Gwen left and even when Adam left, that was kind of like
Adam was my favorite. When he left, I was like,
So, but I did watch a couple of part of the episode this week. So I did see the Jonas Brothers and stuff. And looked pretty good. Like it was still, you know, like that was always my favorite part of the show is the initial rounds when they turn or not.
The blinds.
That was always the blinds, and then the first few rounds of that was always my favorite. And then it kind of like after a while I would watch that, and then I would kind of stop.
It does. It drags. But here's the thing: the battle rounds. The thing that makes the battle rounds so nice is these people are on the same team are going head to head. And they really dig down deep to really bring out the best they got. Because, I mean, it's do or die, you know. And nothing brings out great talent like competition. So I guess that's what they're going for here. But like I said, in a month when all the battle rounds are over, I think they're just sitting back to see how things work out in the United States here. Hopefully that wave will rush over us and we'll be moving on to other things. But, of course, I mentioned Season 5, Better Call Saul. I just this morning watched the latest episode. Holy crap, this show's just getting hot. It's getting really feisty, man. This gives a total, especially with Kim Wexler and Better Call and Saul Goodman. You start to understand. In fact, this last episode it gets really serious between the two of them, and it starts getting really serious where you start to see how they end up. And you kind of understand. You kind of understand how they end up in the future. Yeah, exactly. The new show that I talked about, Dispatchers from Elsewhere, that is on AMC right now. And if you have any kind of, you know, streaming or on demand, you can go and watch the back episodes. AMC's got some great shows out right now. I'll just warn you, though, like I said, it's a little out there. So have an open mind when you watch it, and you'll be kind of wondering what the hell's going on here. I have got to say, the biggest pleasant surprise for me, and I think this is an up-and-coming streaming service, is Apple TV. I just finished Mythic Quest, like Sen finished. I think he's finished up now with it too. It literally gives you an insight to what goes into game development, and it puts a funny twist on it. Of course, you have all the different characters that work within the studio, and I think you'll like it, especially since you know we talk about Bungie and stuff and all the studios. There are a lot of new shows on Apple TV I'm going to be watching, and I'll give my opinion soon. The next show I'm going to watch is actually a movie. It's one of their full-length movies. It's one with Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie. It's about two entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They come up with an ingenious business plan to fight for housing integration in the 60s. I'm not a big period piece guy, but this looks really good. It's called The Banker, and I'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah, that's been a lot of like in those commercials. Like I've been seeing that all the time. AMC commercials all the time have been that. It's like seems like every break they do that. It's like it looks good. It's definitely interesting. So I haven't gotten into Apple TV yet, or the Apple service yet.
It's very simple, ClearNite. It has it's a very simple laid out streaming service now. You can tell they're just starting. But I tell you what, this show has a little bit of everything for everybody. Here's a few shows like for kids I'm not going to watch because I don't have kids anymore. But I'll tell you what, if you got kids there's some shows in there that are really good quality shows. I mean, look, it's like Apple said, okay, we're not launching until we have 15 solid shows that people want to come next season to watch after they watch the first season. And I think they're heading in the right direction, man. And, we'll just have to see. So, yeah. For home entertainment, hopefully, guys, we've given you plenty of ideas now that we're all sequestered at home and practicing our social distancing and all that good stuff. But let's shift gears now. Let's talk about what we've been gaming this week. ClearNite, I'll start with you, man. What have you been doing in gaming? Have you had a chance to game with all the moving and stuff you've been doing?
A little bit, yeah. I actually last week my laptop, which is luckily has I have my desktop set up finally, but like my gaming laptop. It also has an NVIDIA card, so it's got like a 1050 Ti in it, so it can play things, and it plays Destiny fine. Right. So I did actually dive into the EDZ bunker last week. I will say, it's probably not surprised, but like last season, I was definitely taking a break. Like I think I played very little, and when the whole stonks and all that kind of came about, I was not involved in that at all. Like I needed a break. I just needed a break, and so I couldn't. I had hope for it, but I just didn't. So I think the few times I played, I think I did a raid with you, and I did a little bit of comp with a few of the guys in the clan, but otherwise I was pretty much out the whole season. So I was intending to come back, this season, playing, especially with Trials coming up. I was never a big Trials fan, but I've always like that, so I want to try and get to that point. I will have to say, like, after about 2 hours, I was getting so many crashing, like weasels and beavers.
Beaver. Is this PC?
Yeah, and it's even bad. On my laptop, it was driving me crazy. So I actually did do the EDZ, did a few rounds of that. Definitely will say I wasn't a big Sundial fan, although it was better than Vex Offensive for me. Like I did enjoy it a little bit better, but I just didn't get to the final stage of that. I did actually jump in at the very end to kind of do the final Sundial, which I thought was okay. It was fine for me, but I didn't get into a lot of the other stuff. I say after 2 hours, I was like, okay, that's kind of it. And then I started going through the story mission. One of the problems is we talked a little bit about the franchise fatigue. I think I'm kind of there because I played it so much and I grinded so hard when Shadowkeep came out. Like I was adjusting for my armor 2.0. I got down to like 30-second grenade times and just all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden it got like wiped. I was like, okay, I'm not doing the same Lost Sector strikes and stuff again. I can't. I need something more.
Sure.
Couldn't get through that. So I will say that I do like the new activity. But I definitely think I still have that fatigue. I actually got on the other day with the guys in Dawg. I saw there was like 6 or 7 in the channel. I'm like, oh, I gotta join in. Like, I just gotta see what the guys are doing and stuff. And they were playing quick time, and then we got on quick play, and then it was Tuesday, and they were playing Iron Banner. So we went in and was playing that, and they were giving me all kinds of crap because I was like, you're 968. Rob's like, 968. What have you been doing? I know you've been playing. Hey, you got this gun. I know you don't because you haven't been playing. It's like that's Rob. He's just messing with me. All good fun. But like, yeah. So I was having a decent time, but it was so slow to get to matchmaking. It was killing us. And it was just like, ClearNite Join is taking the game now. It's like, well, at least my KD for the season is at empty, so maybe it'll help. But so I did do a little Iron Banner this week, but I'm at like. I did a little bit today. Actually, right before the show, I was grinding my 4th Horseman quest. So Mars, I was doing some EP, and I got past that first kill stage where you have to kill so many Cabal, and now I got to the point where you have to get chests. And it was just right before the show, so I'm like, all right, I did that. I did that in about an hour and a half, but this is kind of rough. I'm having troubles here with this. So I did actually jump in with Fudd the other night because Fudd finally got Shadowkeep.
I heard about it. He sent me a picture. I was like, wow. He showed me I think he was 750 power.
Yes, so he was really struggling, and kind of been noticing is that I've watched a couple other streamers because I've been playing other games too, and some of the streamers will actually go into Destiny and they really feel lost.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we take for granted, and even me taking a break, I came in at the end of last season. I was like, what the hell did I do? Like, I don't even like. I want to do some of the Scene 14 stuff, but I had no idea how to get through it. Like, I know I had to kind of grind more of the, more of the,
Right.
the things. So I had to kind of open things up, and I just do more. I just can't do more lost sectors and strikes again. I just can't. So I felt bad because he was like totally confused. Like, where do you have to go? It was like he had to actually do the, just kill stuff on Moon. And I could see he was sort of like getting a little frustrated. And then Mitchie joined in and I joined up. So we both were kind of helping him along
That's
and doing
good
stuff.
Yeah.
So, just, get him playing that. So we got him through. Got through a few missions, got to the strike. I said, hey, the strike is good. I enjoy the strike, for the first time or two, and not after the 100th, but like it's cool after the first time. but I could definitely see that he was struggling because we talked about he was waiting because he has some. I've kind of been a little bit of that state recently too. Like I took the break to be a little bit away because I think you said this to somebody last week or maybe it was the week before. If you start getting a little irritated with the game, you just got to take a break.
Yeah, you do.
And I've always had that with Destiny. Like it seems like Chris Osiris, I had the same sort of thing. Black Armory. It's gone on record with Hoot Dawg Radio that I was not a fan of Black Armory. I just until season and stuff with that, I was not a fan of that activity at all. And the way that whole thing, and then eventually got the catch up mechanic and all that was good with that. So
sure.
I think it's in a good state. It's ironic because I think the story is in the best state, but it's just for the casual or the person who's like fairly new or coming in, they do not do a good job of telling you what you need to do. And that was kind of a shame. I felt bad for him because he's played Destiny, but he didn't play Shadowkeep, and he was totally confused. And part of it's because the Moon, he had to do some Vex kills and stuff, and like the Moon doesn't really have a lot of Vex anymore, So that was kind of an odd thing to do, and so I'm trying to help him out. And then he fell into the lost sector. I'm like, oh yeah, how'd that work out? It's like, yeah, I got toasted. It's like, yeah, you don't go to the lost sector just yet at 750. So but it's been good. Like I dive in a little bit, but I mean actually I've been more my guys when I came in, it's like they started going, arg, how you doing? Because I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves recently.
Right.
I kind of got back into that game. That's one of the games while I was playing Destiny, I would dip in and do the alpha and play that, and then really from the holidays on, I've been really clicking with that game. Like it can be very relaxing and you can kind of go in there and waste a lot of time, but every time you come in there it's something new to do. Like you can run into some really toxic players who are trying to take you out, but then it's like do ship battle. It's kind of fun. And then I'll group up with some friends and FUD and Gunbait and a few others we've played at different points in those guys too. But I've been really kind of and anniversary, so they've been doing like daily and weekly sort of the evolving world thing.
Sure.
So I think there's a lot of things that they were not really well received when it first launched because it was again rushed and similar story rushed and came out too soon but now there's like a year and a half, 2 years of content that there's a ton to do now.
Yeah.
And they've made a lot of quality of life improvements. So it's always been a beautiful game. The crossplay works great. So I've been really big into the Sea of Thieves recently, and a lot of the guys when I came back, it's like, "Yar, you're not sailing tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, guys. Let's just play." It's like, But I will say they actually have a really good community too. Like that's one of the things we always talk about, the Destiny community and stuff. And there are not a lot of good gaming communities out there. Sea of Thieves community is actually really a good diehard. Like there's some toxic players that just like to. It's called Sea of Thieves. You're supposed to kill
sure.
Right, but there's also a lot of people a lot of streamers and stuff that I've gotten friendly with that I've been watching that are really good and they'll want to help people out, and that's the nice thing.
Yeah.
Community, the developer team, they do weekly streams. You watch the developers and they'll talk about it. They're very transparent. It's almost like TWAB but live. It's kind of
that's cool.
So I've been playing a lot of that too. So it's been those two games have been pretty much my mainstay. I've been really, really wanting to play Doom Eternal, but I've held off because I knew I couldn't do that on my laptop, and I didn't want to play it in like a half-ass. So I wanted to wait sure my computer here was all set up and stuff, and I just kind of held off till I got that all set up. But I know I'm going to play Doom Eternal because I love Doom 2016. Like that was.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
Doom is one of my all-time favorite games ever. The first original back in the day, and 2016 resonated with that perfectly. They've had a few games before that, and it was not really the greatest, but and this one looks even better. Although Lono seemed to have an issue with it tonight when I saw some tweets that he ran into one of the enemies is kind of a pain He's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that game a lot, so I know I'm going to be playing that. It's just I'm kind of holding off until maybe like I get a little bit more gift card money from the birthdays and stuff, and things have kind of smoke have cleared in this office and stuff. So
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's
Yeah.
they've that Bungie has made a decision that they're trying to make it where when people take off, they can come back. And I think Luke Smith mentioned this in his latest director's cut, that they want people to be able to come back and have content to play to catch up, and not just jump in and be bewildered and go, oh, what? Where am I supposed to go? What's going on right now? So maybe they're working on that. Maybe that's something they're trying to work on for future content. Because right now I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. They jump in and are like, well, I don't even know what the hell. What am I supposed to be doing? You know? So I get it, man.
Most people don't know. Most people don't double up on quests, right? Like you get the gunsmith quest, and you do this and that, and so you're doing things at the same time.
Multitask, baby.
Things, but you got to do that stuff. But most people are not doing. So I'm like yelling at streamers, like, you got to do this, and I don't want to be the one backstream. I don't actually type it. I just kind of like am yelling at the screen, like, you gotta go to the gunsmith. What are you doing? You going, that kind of thing.
I got
because they don't know.
I know.
No, it doesn't kind of like, it's not obvious. So that's the one thing I think they have a lot of great story, and I love the fact that they do tweet some of the stories out.
Yeah.
But like, I really wish they put that in game. Like, I don't understand why they can't put
I think it's because cutscenes are high production value, and they're trying to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're honestly they're working for a big drop to come in the fall with the new consoles and stuff coming out then as well.
Yeah.
I think they're putting all their resources toward that big drop. And then, and I think for now they probably have a plan. They're kind of on cruise control, and it's just coming out as they pre-planned all of it,
Yeah,
and
I think you see that with the quality too has suffered a bit too.
Well, it's gotten more repetitive, and it's pretty much about bounties. Get the bounties, level up, get your light slowly but surely. You start getting your light up, and then you can start playing the big boy activities. So, but. Well, good deal. Well, Hazel, what about you, man? What have you been doing this week? You've been home a little bit.
Yeah. I ended up beating Shadow of the Colossus.
Nice.
Very cool.
Man. I love that game. I went through and showed my daughter some of the Colossus, or some of the Colossi.
The Colossi, I was going to say. I was going to correct you there.
But so, and she was just like in awe of some of it, like the bird where you have to jump on the wing and then you fly up in the air.
Right.
She was just like, wow. So, yeah. So we did that, did the whole Just Dance thing. Goat Simulator still is being represented despite, life and everything.
Sure.
So, and then besides that, it's just Destiny. I decided to kind of swallow my pride and to say, fuck it. I was critical last week of it because I just wanted more.
Sure.
Mhm.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Like what? Yeah. Well, I know. Like what ClearNite said though is like that we're seeing some of the kind of the shortcomings of this now and everything, and I think that to a degree, Bungie just wanted to find out if they could make it without Activision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now they found out that, hey, we can, and our people support us despite everything. So let's go ahead and lesson learned. We'll live. So
I like to think this year before the big drop in the fall is one big test market. I think they're testing a lot of new ideas, like these bunker mods and stuff that they have. I was playing around with this today and with my Titan, and dude, there's some really fun setups. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but there's some really fun setups to do that you got to look into. Yeah. Just go to Error out there and a bunch of these YouTubers. They give you all kinds of setups with this new armor and the new mods in these bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be negative again, but I don't think that that's what they're doing. I would love it if they were.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing in their past has really shown that that's how they're doing things.
Here's the difference, though. We didn't have director's cuts in the past. At least Luke Smith is kind of letting us know, hey, we're trying some new things. We're doing this. We're making changes to this. We're resetting this. And I think this is kind of they're making some of these changes, and I think a lot of these bunker mods and the seasonal mods and stuff, I think they're going to put a lot of this stuff. I think there's going to be, my prediction, the mods are only going to get increased big time come fall. I think come fall we're going to have all kinds of mods. I think that's where it's really going to get into more of an RPG game.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree to a point. I think they even went this time. I think the fact that they do a reboot every season kind of shows that they realized over the last couple of years they come up with something that's just so either overpowered or underpowered that they just want to cut. Okay, you're gonna deal with the first season and then we're gonna crank it out so it's not in the next season, right? So I think that's how I kind of look at the mod system in the seasonal mod systems, and I think unfortunately they painted themselves a little into a corner with a couple of them, like the Unstoppables and the barrier reducers and all that. They kind of screwed themselves up because I think they were going to plan on getting rid of those, and I think they didn't think about, oh wait, the raid, you need this, or Guardians of Valleys, you need to have the barrier breaker or the unstoppable stuff, or in these nightmare things or the ordeal and all that, you need to have these. And I think I don't think that was like an oh crap moment for them, but I don't think they kind of thought it through all the way because it doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like those were intended to be there permanently, because otherwise why would they be on the artifact versus just a normal mod? I think the purpose of the artifact was to try different things, and I think you're right. I think it is leading to a bigger thing, but I do agree with Hazel to a point too, is like, I always hope for the more, and that's why we play this game, right? Like, it's still got great moments, it's still got the great gunplay, there's nothing like it. Even in our frustration, we still talk about the game, still love the game, right? Like, we still go back to it and try and play, and some play more than others and such, but like, it still brings us back. That's not many games that do that, at least for me. Like, there's some, but not many.
No, not at all. I can't think of a game I've come back to so many times. I mean, even I even bought the newest Call of Duty Warzone's out there. You think I played it? No. I went through the tutorial in 1 minute because I know Fudd was going to play it.
As
Easy would say, did you make it through the title screen?
Yeah, there's a drink there.
I am going to play the campaign because I've heard so many good things about that campaign. I am going to play that. I don't know about the Warzone and the PvP stuff, but I definitely want to play the campaign. I bought the damn game. Least I can do is play the campaign because I've heard it's really good. So.
Drink.
There you go.
We'll see.
I just had to
anyway.
We'll see. Anything else you want to add, Hazel?
I mean, not really. I mean, I've just been kind of getting back into Destiny again, leveling up the bunkers and all that good stuff. And by far, though, my most favorite activity right now is when you're sliding down the ramp to go into the bunker, jumping and hitting a wall and killing myself.
Have you done it with your Sparrow yet? It's really fun.
No, I haven't done that yet.
It's really fun.
I still just enjoy just jumping down and sliding down, and I'm trying to make it to the bunker door, like the far one.
I did it with my hunter
hit
today.
That one and die.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far, I mean, I can't make it there. I can make it to the war mine and crash into that like a champ and die. But yeah, I mean, that's absolutely my favorite thing to do. My wife and my daughter were watching me and they're like, what the hell are you doing?
Like, wow, you're falling fast, Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you shouldn't go that fast. And I'm like, I know.
You're going to get hurt, Daddy. Well,
Yep,
you know what?
exactly.
You know what? I'll say this, Hazel. It's okay to talk about this game in a negative way. I don't want to be a Destiny shill. If there's something that I know that Destiny can do better, I want to tell them about it. I don't know. They probably don't listen to this small little podcast, but I don't care. I'm going to still mention things I don't like. Like, okay, my first pet peeve, these armor mods, these seasonal armor mods, let us just use them across the whole damn year. What's this crap we can't use Undying mods now? If we have Undying armor, we can't use them. We can't use the current mods on them because it's more than 2 seasons away, or it's 2 seasons away. Come on, Bungie, let us play with them, man. Give us the sandbox. Let us play with these mods. I hope they revert that later. I know they've been talking about how, like, a lot of my armor is from the world drops. It's a lot of the older armor that they put into the pool. Well, guess what? They don't have any seasonal mod slots on them. They say they're going to fix that. So
that's in the TWAB actually,
Yeah,
but we can go ahead and touch on it now if you want. I mean,
we'll talk about it separate. We're getting into gaming here, and I figured what we do is just tell about our overall thoughts of Destiny. I mean, that's all I've been playing this week. I did want to give a shout out. We had our first clan night, and we played. Played a night of Iron Baron. I wanted to give a shout out. We had Warcry. Hazel, you were there. Flip Mode Fro was there. Jealous, one of our newer clan guys. A couple of the Guardian Hub guys. We had AR-16 FSU there, not the college, by the way. I confirmed. And my new Aussie friend, Lord Farquaad. I like this guy. He is a trip, man.
He is, yeah.
And it's Lord Farquaad, 1968. I wonder if he was born the same year I was. That would be awesome if that's the case. I had a really good time playing Banner the other night. And, I don't care if we win or lose. I just like BSing with everybody. And, the more you play together as a group, the better you're going to get. So, GG's, guys. I had a great time. I think we did it 2 nights in a row. We were having so much fun doing it. And not everybody could always make it. But when they could, everybody dropped in for a few games and dropped back out. That's what I love about Destiny, man. I play a lot solo. And I'm sorry, it just gets a little boring and isolating. But when you're grinding for light and you're leveling stuff up, I mean, you can really only do that solo. Because, like a lot of these bounties, if you have someone playing next to you, they're going to steal your kills. You're not going to get credit in your bounty. So the way the bounty system's set up now, you have to run into lost sectors and do it on your own. And unfortunately, that's great for me. I like having downtime where I'm just doing really light activities and not having to worry about anything. It's my escape from what's going on right now. But that was
Warcry, actually. After you hopped off, Warcry and I continued playing.
Oh, you did?
And he was running around trying to get bow kills and I think fusion rifle kills, and he was like following me, stealing all my kills.
like you were the last game before I got off. You were like 966, I think, or something. I was like 980 something, and I said, dude, just stay behind people and just take the kills. I mean, I'll get credit. I'll still get credit toward my KDA.
Yeah, I think that was the game where I finished higher than you, actually.
Lord, you had to bring that up. It was, okay.
Yeah, I took a screenshot just to
you did.
just to show.
Yeah, pictures didn't happen.
He was, dude.
Exactly, right?
Well, set the picture up. We got stomped. It was one of those great matchmaking games where we had like 6 killers on the other side that were just running over us, capturing all the plot points and stuff, and we were getting just run over. And
it was a mercy game.
It was a mercy game, and I looked at the scoreboard, and Hazel's the only one who went positive the whole game. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch! And here's Hazel with that evil grin, and I'm like, don't you dare take a screenshot. Oh, already did.
Already done.
Yep, exactly.
But I do want to say one thing here before we move on. Trials. I got my opinions on Trials. I've been really thinking about this. I've been listening to a lot of the podcasts talk about Trials. Last week there was a shotgun that was available at 3 wins. And I'll go back to my earlier statement that I talked about last week. I think they should eliminate the 3-win thing. I think you should be able to keep your tokens week to week, because the average player was probably going to jump in for, like we did with Iron Banner. We're going to jump in, play a few games, play a couple cards, and then we're off doing something else. We should be able to save those tokens and invest them week to week. Well, what the problem was, one of the new rules set in the Trials world is whatever gun you unlock at that 3-win, which was a shotgun, and it was, from what I heard, it's really good. The good players would immediately reset their card.
Yeah.
And farm it.
And just farm tokens every 3 wins. They'd reset their cards. So guess what? When you jumped in to play, your first card in your first game, where it's supposed to be pretty evenly matched, or you could get an easy team or whatever, every game, and I was watching Crafty. He was losing it, man. Crafty would even admit it. He says, dude, I'm just letting you know, I was watching him today. He says, I'm just letting you know, I'm not as good at this game as I used to be. I says, I can't explain it. I don't understand why. I said, maybe there's just a lot more good players that have entered the game recently. But I still think he's an awesome player. That sniping game he's got, and the fact he does double carries, I gotta give him props for that, man. Especially in this environment now with Trials just coming out. I will say this though, I got to thinking about this. The PvP gods, all the streamers out there that have been playing, whatever PvP was available at the time. The people who hung in there, like True Vanguard and Miss 5000 Watts and Cool Guy and Cammy Cakes. I love Cammy Cakes and Drewski. All these guys and Azdacross. All these guys who religiously keep playing to keep their streams interesting, and people still tune in and watch. I'm sure their viewership went down. This is their in-game activity, and you know what? I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm not going to bitch about it because they never got anything for this is the third season. They finally got a PvP end game, and I could see the excitement on their faces when they jump in and play. They're so excited. You know, their viewership's probably going up across the board. I'm sure it's showing in Twitch. They have this new extension, that they put out that people can follow their games. And you can even, like I said, get the viewer rewards for reacting to matches. It's very interactive, and Bungie has really gone a long way to make that happen. Does it have flaws? Oh, hell yeah, it does. And I've talked about the tokens thing and about the 3-win lockout and all that stuff. I'm not going to say any more about it. What I'm doing is I'm leveling up. I've finally crossed the 1,000 power threshold. I think raw score I'm like at 991 or something like that. I'm just going to slowly, I'm going to love playing Iron Banner. And pro tip, this is the week to play Iron Banner, guys. When Iron Banner comes out, all the sweaty players are playing Trials cards. This is the jump in, man. This is when you want to play Iron Banner. Now, on the opposite, if you're an average guy who's just plays PvP here and there, do not play Trials this weekend because you're only going to get the sweaty players. None of the I learned this in vanilla Destiny 2 when Trials of the Nine was out. We would play a whole weekend we would play with just the greatest intentions, and we would get stomped. I mean, we noticed it. There were so many more hardcore players in Trials of the Nine back then because all of the casual players or maybe the middle of the road players like us we're playing Iron Banner that weekend. Yeah. So, pro tip, this is the week to play Iron Banner. When Iron Banner comes out, with Trials is also out as well, I'm telling you, you'll have a lot more fun. And we had a great time with the clan. So, not to belittle, not to belabor the part, but Trials has Bungie's going to have to sit back and figure out how to fix these issues. Because if it's all sweats in this game, and they don't retain. I mean, they lost 65% of their players last week when they were token slamming. I mean, people just said, screw it. I mean, I can't even get 3 wins to even unlock, to even give tokens to Saint 14. When you lose 65% of your players, and I'm curious what it is this week, I think it's going to be bad too because Iron Banner's competing for the time, with PvP players. If they lose, I said this last week, you lose the casual players, Trials is not going to succeed. All you're going to have is a bunch of sweaty people in there, and even the streamers are getting tired. They're getting tired of sweating so much every time they play. They're used to those games where they run in and they can get some easy wins here and there. And I'm not saying they do all the time, but I'm just saying they're going to have to refigure something. They've got to make it more friendly for the casual players because even though it's an in-game activity, I get it for PvP, you've got to make it accessible to the average player too. Otherwise, it's just like raids. 1%, 4% plays raids in the game. Yeah, they got to change that. They got to make it more accessible. So I've said my piece. Well, okay. So just throwing this out there because I saw the 65% thing as well, and that's actually only according to like Light GG or something like that. One of those sites that only tracks people who log in. Right. So if you've never logged into that site and things like that, it doesn't track you. So it's not exactly accurate. But I'll say this, Hazel. I guarantee you people like me are watching these streamers struggle and going, oh, hell no. I'm not getting in that. I'll wait till my power level's at least matched with everyone else that's playing the game. At least I'm on the same footing. But when it's already a sweaty as hell game and you're underpowered, why even bother? This is what I think all the players are thinking that want to jump in and play with their friends. But they're just waiting. They're just waiting and seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's a complicated issue because
it is, and it's one of those things. When I jumped in with the Hoot guys, like one of the things that we've kind of transitioned. We still do a lot of raids, and we kind of have transitioned. I think a little bit more in the last few raids to like more of the more PvP. So like Rob, for example, he's in Crucible all the time. Like when Solo List came out, he was happy as
it's a great playlist
because he and we would help people to get Recluse and things like that. So we would do that. But I even asked him, I was like, hey, how was Trials? Not everybody on the chat was like, they just started chuckling. It's like, yeah, it was miserable. And the main reason is they wanted this, but the biggest problem was between the aimbotters. That's one of the things I saw Lucky tweeted about. Like, I guess he ran into some aimbots, which is a piece of issue. I know that's going to be a problem. They got to solve for that, but I know that they're trying. And DMG kind of said that they're active, so try and stay clean.
Sure.
But what he said to me is that the that 3 card thing, what the problem was with last weekend is then they would reset after 3. And
Right.
the problem is if you can't get past your second or your third card, it's very disheartening to get to like, what is it, 5 or 6 at this point?
It is.
And so if you can't get past 3, like you eventually give up, like because you keep hitting the same people.
Mhm.
You're hitting the elite of the elite. You're not expecting to hit them. Maybe like it feels better if you can get to 6, like or 5 or whatever it is, and you're like, all right, well at least I got that far. But if you keep getting stomped at 2 and 3 because they are resetting because of a mechanic in the game, that's where I think Bungie will, and I think they do look at it, but they just need weeks of feedback.
You know how they fix this? You know how they fix this? Get rid of card-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
That way you're just going to get a mixed bag. That's the way it should be. You may get someone who's on their final win, their final game against people who are just starting. This is the way it happened to Trials of the Nine. I loved it. And it was all random. It was all connection based, though. I like that.
They do need connection base as being a primary, and I think the card base is okay as being a secondary selection, but they need to still make it connection base. And the other thing is just the network issues all over right now are causing some trouble. So that's also been.
I've heard a lot of teams were getting beavered. They were losing the card automatically because they were getting beavered. I mean, as long as
and it's not even DDoSing, it's just
I know Hazel had to come back for that.
Sorry, I got sick of hearing it. I just had to say something.
Yeah, that was definitely true.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sorry, we can go on and on with this. I think we made some valid points, and you know what? Let's move on to this week at Bungie. This week at Bungie, what do we got, Hazel?
All right, so my script tells me that I'm supposed to say that armor gets fixed. So, the thing that I was alluding to before. But I didn't write that script because armor's not actually getting fixed. So I'll cover that in just a second. So, aside from that, it's basically nothing else in here besides bug fixes and some videos. Twitch Prime rewards are back out there again, so go ahead and make sure to claim that. So that way you can go ahead and get those. Prometheus Lens, the ornament, the ghost, and the new ship.
Yep.
And aside from that, it's armor. Now, I'm going to read this right from Bungie here. Good news, we're adding seasonal mod slots to these sets in the update next month.
Thank you.
Don't say thank you just yet, man. You obviously didn't read this shit.
I skimmed it.
Okay. So that's the reason why I'm here.
Exactly.
So the 3 faction sets will get Season of the Worthy mod slots, and the rest of the armor will either get Season of the Dawn or Season of the Undying mod slots.
What? Bungie, what are you doing, man?
One step back. One step forward, 2 steps back.
Just let us play with the mods, Bungie. Let us play with them. It's only a year. You're going to do something different in the fall anyway.
Brah. Come on. Come on.
What is going on?
It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's...
Literally.
I read this, and I'm glad my kid was in the bathroom, because I'm reading the TWAB, and I'm like, what the fuck? And my wife is like, she looks up at me, and I'm like, where's Ed? And I'm like, and I tell her this, and she's like, well, that doesn't make any sense, and she doesn't even play or doesn't even care. So even she sees it. So I don't understand the issue.
Wow, I don't get it.
So I guess
why are they being so restrictive? What are they worried about? Let us play, Bungie. Let us play. Bungie, can I play? My mom says I can play. Can I play?
No, you have to play by our rules. Too soon, I know. But yeah. So there's that. Hopefully, the community will, show a little bit of outrage on Reddit, and then they'll go ahead and, say like, oh, whoops, we miskeyed that. We meant to say this.
Okay. I'll wait to hear that.
Yeah, me too. That'll be in the end of next season. So, yeah. Aside from that, here's a video. I know I never really talked about the videos, but there was a video that, as a Titan, it made me all giggity. And basically, it's a guy with the what is the Titans? Or the Crown Breaker, and he killed a Thresher with it, with one shot. Now there was some damage to it, I'm sure, but yeah, he basically was like in midair and fell straight down on it and killed it. It was amazing. And then aside from that, that's it.
Well, I did want to share. They had a community focus on one of my favorite streamers, Cool Guy, this week. Do you mind if I read a part of it here?
Of course, go for it.
This was DMG that was interviewing him, and it's a blog. It's a blog. You can read it it's on Bungie.net, and I won't go into any. If you guys haven't heard of Cool Guy, they even post some of his videos that he's done. But this last question really got my throat a little bit. DMG asked Cool Guy, he goes, "Do you have a last word to share before signing off?" He goes, "Ha, get it? I made a weapon pun. You make weapon reviews, but seriously, any words of wisdom before you go?" And Cool Guy says this: "I would like to share a true story with you. Bungie builds worlds that bring people together. I am a testament to that. In 2009, I played my first ever online game, Halo 3. For 3 months, I never used a microphone to talk in PvP. The first day I did, after a match, the top person on the other team simply said, 'Good game.' I told him the same, and after that, we partied up to play. This was my first ever interaction in online gaming. It turned out we had a lot in common. Later that night, I told my wife, 'I think I met my best friend today.' She says, 'Yeah, okay, gamer.' I continued to play different games with him and got to know his friends who live close to him. I got to know his girlfriend. We talked every day. In 2014, my wife and I needed to move from New York. Long story short, 5 years later, we chose to move 15 minutes down the road from him and his girlfriend. Now it's 2020. We meet for dinner, we hang out, and even watch each other's house when the other is on vacation. You know, things friends do. For some of us, gaming is a hobby. For others, it's a passion. Some of us game as a release from day-to-day activities. When you're on Twitter, Reddit, or watching your favorite content creator or streamer, I want you to remember this. We are more the same than we are different. And you might just be playing with or against your new best friend. For me, of course, the course of my life changed with a simple, good game. Be kind to someone. You never know where it'll lead." That just stuck with me. What an eloquent young man. I mean, I got to call him a young man because he's in his 20s. But I really, if you go to Bungie.net, there's a community-focused blog in there. Definitely read over it because Cool Guy is one of my favorite streamers. He's a big cheerleader for Bungie in this game, and I have mad respect for him. And now they have a podcast that comes out. I don't know if it's every week or what, but it's one of the DCP Live, I guess, sub podcasts that they have. And it's since the Crucible radio days, we don't really have a Crucible podcast anymore. So I urge everyone to at least check in and see what it's about. They talk about weapon metas, a lot of geeky stuff, but I dig that stuff. Mm-hmm. And Mercules is on there from Reddit and his
cool.
His podcast. Cammy Cakes, another one of my favorite streamers. Drewski, one of their best friends, and of course Fallout Plays. That's a good. What a great lineup of people, right? If you want to talk about PvP, those are the guys, man. So I just wanted to urge everyone to. Thanks, Hazel. I just wanted to mention that, man. Anything else to mention? Anything else?
No, that was it, man.
Well, I think we got some really good Discord and Twitter questions coming up, so let's move on to that right after this. All right, boys and girls, it's that time of the week. It is time for our Twitter and Discord questions. This is where our community and folks that listen to us send questions via Twitter or our Discord under our channel Podcast Questions, and we try to answer them the best we can and try not to get embarrassed in the process. Hazel, why don't you dip into the basket there and grab the first one?
All right. So, okay. Creepy Uncle This is one that ClearNite already answered. So his question was, question for this ClearNite. is night, N-I-T-E, a night or night?
Okay.
And the answer, I believe, was yes.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Good
It's both.
question. Good question.
Yep.
Thanks, Uncle Creepy Bot.
hmm
Creepy Uncle Bot.
Creepy Uncle Bot. I think I know who that is.
I like the mustache too on that one.
That's a great pick, isn't it? That's a great pick. All right, let's see. Question for the show. This is from this is from ClearNite.
From Bavette. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's from Bavette.
Do you guys like saying breakfast for dinner? Do you guys like having breakfast for dinner? And if so, what is your favorite? Hazel?
I can make the shit out of an omelet. That's my thing. So yeah, if we're doing breakfast for dinner, it's either pancakes or omelets.
Usually once a week, my wife and I have like Friday nights usually, or you're on your own. Whatever you decide to eat for dinner is up to you. And I always have eggs and oatmeal, scrambled eggs and oatmeal. I love it. I make it a lot for breakfast in the morning when I have time. If I'm not in a hurry, that's what I have for dinner sometimes. Good question.
Nice.
What do you do?
What about you, sir?
What about you, ClearNite?
Well, this kind of came up tonight actually, and we were like, "Yeah, let's do breakfast for dinner." And I, boys wanted it too, so I always like actually pancakes is always a good choice for me. I love pancakes.
Yeah.
Pancake. We did. She had some chocolate batter, like chocolate pancake batter. So she actually made those for dinner, and I did some of the bacon and all that. So that's always a good thing. And the other one is biscuits and gravy. So I'm from the Philly area, but my wife her mother's from Kentucky, so I got a lot of Southern cooking coming my way.
Oh yeah.
So doing authentic homemade biscuits and gravy can't be beat. So
God,
that's good.
Nicely done.
I'll be right back. I gotta go to the oven real quick.
Right.
Oh, Biscuits and gravy, man. I'm a Southern boy. I love that stuff. Oh,
Yep.
Brown gravy.
That's a good time right there.
My God. All right, Hazel. What's the next one here?
All right. Here we go. From Sin, TM. A question for ClearNite. Why am I the only one who likes Jack Sparrow by the Lonely Island?
Because you're the only one that tolerates it after this point. Actually, it's funny because the Jack Sparrow thing, I have on my stream, I actually have a Jack Sparrow command as well. So just in case Sin does come into the stream, I'll usually kind of do that. So, but it's actually a running joke because for a while Gunbait was like, no more Jack Sparrow, because he's the first one of our like crew to actually set one up in their stream, and you do it, and it was like he had to put limits on it after a while. So, but yeah.
I got one here for ClearNite from Dadbod Link, which, by the way, will be on our show next week. Spoiler. With the current shortage of cleaning supplies and disinfectants, will dirty deeds be done dirt cheap, or will it be a price increase?
Sure thing. You just have to pick up the phone. I'm not alone, but I'll take that call.
Awesome. All right. From Jay Ellis. Question for ClearNite.
I think it's jealous. I clarify.
Oh, it is jealous?
It's jealous, yep.
All right. So, question from Jealous then. Question for ClearNite. What is your best radio voice?
Actually, yeah, I saw this one coming in there. So it would be, hello, this is ClearNite, and you're listening to Guardian Downcast. Join us tonight for some utter incompetency and mutual chaos. Wait. That's a different intro. Wait, that's someone else's. So
awkward.
That's all right. That's a soundbite. That will be saved. That will be archived.
Well, some others aren't using that one anymore, so hey, you can steal that.
All right.
That's one of the things I always forget to do the intro. Like we try it when we do have a guest.
Yeah.
It's like, do the hey, thanks, and you're listening to Hoot Dog Radio. And it's like I don't know how many times I've done it's like crap, and then I have to get somebody later, like do a quick Craig, call and just say, hey, can you just record this real quick? And then I save it just so that I have it for future in case the person comes back on. But I for a while I was just always forgetting to do it.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I got one here from Chubby Wizard, our buddy Chubby Wizard. Question for the show. Are you guys playing Iron Banner? And if you are, what did you think of the bow quest? I kind of like being forced out of my comfort zone to get kills with non-meta weapons. Thanks, love the show. Guys? You guys worked on the bow quest?
Well, I mean, I've been trying to unlock my Iron Banner quest to begin with because I didn't play last Iron Banner.
Mhm.
So I'm still at that stage where I am doing the
Oh.
basic, I have all these coins that I can't do anything with because I have to
Right.
do the quest line. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I actually do like bows, except I don't use bows a whole lot in Crucible. I'm okay with it in Gambit and PvE, actually, especially on PC. That was one of the things I first loved, like pulse and bows.
Sure.
When I first went to PC, amazing, loved it. Not even aiming down the sights, just boom, boom, boom. So I do enjoy that, but I don't. I've tried it a few times in Crucible, and I just haven't gotten my swing of it. So I'm sure I'll probably feel that kind of pain later.
Sure. Sure, makes sense. You been working on this, Hazel?
Yeah, I actually got it. I
Really?
got the bow.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. What do you think? Hands-on
I
impression.
think it's a piece of shit,
What?
but yeah.
I was getting two-shot by it the other night. It would take like
Well,
three.
yeah.
It'd take 3/4 of my. The first time I got shot, it'd take 3/4 of my health. And if you can't get back to cover fast enough, and the guy's half capable at using a bow, he'll finish you off with it. I was getting two popped.
But
I was like,
but
damn,
yeah,
that
but
bow.
that's by like 1,000 light guy
Well,
though.
that could be too.
So
That could
Yeah.
come on now,
That could be too.
Yeah.
I remember
because
that.
I mean, I was screwing around with it, and I'm like, I can't two-shot anybody. This thing's a piece of shit. And it's like, oh wait, no, I'm a piece of shit because I'm not 1,000.
Well, you
light.
got to hit him in the head too. Headshot's important.
Well, there is that too. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
I mean, you still can't two-shot with it though.
Yeah.
Well,
Like not until like you're like 1,000 light on somebody.
I'll tell you this: the bows have the most aim assist, I think, of any weapon. Because think about it: if you miss your shot, you're screwed. You're done. So you have to get that initial flinch, that initial shot in. If you miss that initial shot, I love doing it to get headshots in PvE because it's so sticky when you're aiming down the sight. And I don't mind bows. I just don't think it's like firing an extremely slow, powerful scout rifle in PvP. It really just you have to be a far away to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do the whole Tangle Shore chain, where you'd have to do the bounties for that. And
Right.
I just love doing the bow and the pulse real easy because I don't even aim down the sight. When you have a mouse, you just go boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
boom.
yeah.
You're not even aiming
I
down
bet.
if you're aiming down the sight on a mouse and keyboard, you're not doing it right, in my opinion, because it's just, you've got it there. Like, it's right there, unless you're really looking for a long shot, sniper type shot. But that's different. But
Right.
The
Makes sense.
elitist.
yeah.
I don't
So,
know what a mouse and keyboard is. Sorry, I use
Yeah,
controller.
no, I understand. No, on some games I do, but it's
Yeah.
so good on Destiny mouse and keyboard that it's just hard not to.
I've toyed with it, but I just don't like my carpal
Yeah.
tunnel's so bad. I'm just afraid to even get into it. I
It's-
stick with what I know.
It's funny because I actually have more trouble sometimes on longer sessions with controller. My
Really?
thumbs, yeah.
See,
Maybe
the
'cause
way-
I'm just-
Well, do you use a an Xbox controller?
yeah,
That's why your thumbs are
No, I have-
they're diagonal. You got to use a
Mhm.
PS4 controller. They're right there in the middle. They never move.
I get worse
think-
on that. Cramps,
Really?
Because it's low. I like to keep my thumb just stays straight, and then it's
What?
nice even, and you just tilt it. You just crooked. You just keep it crooked.
What?
That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Drafty's gonna talk shit about you, man. If you keep fucking saying that Xbox has a bad controller, man.
The sticks are splayed. How can you evenly apply pressure when your hands are in two different places? I don't understand I don't understand Xbox controllers. Never have. I even have an adapter that I use a PS4 controller on my Xbox One X.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
It's funny because everybody who I know has like an Astro or a controller where you can manipulate it.
Right.
They always go to the Xbox version just because it's easier on your hands.
I don't get it.
Exactly.
I even tried to play Call of Duty long ago on
Mm-hmm.
on an Xbox with the splayed sticks, and my shot was so off. I said, screw this. No.
I think it's years of Halo. I think that's really what it comes down to. Is that in other games you just get used to it.
I get it.
So.
I mean, I tell you, I will give you this. Xbox makes a very durable controller. I love the weight of them. I hate how lightweight and kind of cheap that PlayStation controllers are. I love the way they're situated. I love the button layout, but I think they need to put a little more effort in making them a little meatier, a little more weight to them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But-
Well, I also think the quality. I went through three or four controllers on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Before I was like, screw it, I'm getting a scuff,
It's
and
a sticks.
I never looked back. Like,
yeah, but
it's
see,
just-
I bought a scuff, and my stick
Mhm.
went out just like any other stick did. Unless you buy the really updated scuff with the better button stops and stuff in them, it's that right stick, man. Because that right stick's what I use to sprint, and you sprint a lot in Destiny. So
yeah,
in any game, Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever. It's
Yep.
you use that stick so much, it just the contacts get worn
Well,
out.
that's why I use the paddles in the back. I use that for run. That's where I would do that for run.
That's probably where you can save it.
It saves my thumb because
Makes
it hurts the
sense.
thumb too much on that. So I would use the
Yeah.
left paddle for run, basically.
That makes sense. To answer your question, Chubby, I am working on it right now. I'm working on the hand cannon kills, and I was using the Crimson the other night. That if you can hit headshots with that gun, that gun is a lot of fun, man. It is. I was owning people coming at me with whatever. If I didn't panic and I just kept my shot on, they would never make it, even with a shotgun. It was awesome, and then I get all my health back. Sweet. Good deal. Hazel?
All right. So I think this one is one for you, ClearNite. It's from Kingsley Mac. What is your favorite type of barbecue and your favorite stout?
There's probably some mystery and just food talk from Dawg and Guardian Hub in this one, but he knows we can talk about beer for a very long time. So we have a channel in our Discord that talks about like coffee. It's called Coffee Talk, CAWFEE, Coffee Talk, but it also sometimes turns into beer talk. And so barbecue for me, it's St. Louis barbecue. I like St. Louis and Texas style barbecue. I'm not a big fan of the Carolina barbecue, although I appreciate all barbecue is great. So, but I do prefer more of the rubs and the spicier type than the
You like the hotter barbecue? Gotcha.
Yeah, I like the hotter barbecue. Yeah. So, and when I have relatives in St. Louis that I go to, and when I used to work, I worked at a company that had a base in Dallas. So they took me to a couple places in Fort Worth where the food is good, and they showed me the ways. So
nice.
It's one area in the Northeast. It's hard to get really good barbecue. There's a few places now that are doing better with it. Mission Barbecue is one that's not far from us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chain that's actually decent Southern barbecue, but having been married into a Southern family, you get to appreciate more of the Southern types of food more.
Very cool.
And stouts, I just drank a breakfast stout, so I like all kinds of
a breakfast stout.
Beers, but
okay,
but yeah, it's a Founders Foundry, and it's a breakfast stout. It's an oatmeal and coffee stout.
Wow. And
it's got a little baby eating oatmeal on the front, which is why I originally bought it, and it was actually a very appealing label, and it's an actually amazing beer. It's a nice.
See, that's the only beer I like is stout, so I need to get into this. I need to get into this variety.
Yeah. But we've discussed it too, because Guinness, I've always been mainstay. Guinness for the years was my favorite.
Yes.
Although when I was in the UK, I did come to appreciate O'Hara's and Murphy. So if I had to really pick and choose, I actually prefer Murphy's over Guinness, but Guinness is amazing. So
Uncle Scumdeath will be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Yep. So
I got a question here from Mrs. Hazelnut from our Twitter account. It is a question for the show from Addie. I guess that's your daughter.
Yep, that's our daughter. Yep.
She wants to know if you guys have any pets and their names. Well, I think she probably knows what Hazel's are, but Hazel, for the record, what are your pets' names?
We just have one. It's a dog, and she's a beagle. She's fucking adorable. And she's been, I want to say, on like every episode that I've been on, at least. I was going to say, a little Shake.
Yeah. You the Shake. Where's the Shake? I haven't heard it all night.
She's passed out. She's snoring.
Okay.
But yep. And she's Daisy. Yep.
Daisy. Okay. ClearNite, how about you? Any pets?
Very cool. None officially of our own. So our in-laws have a dog that comes over. It's a puggle named Sadie. So she's very well loved, and she's an older dog now. And the puggle is a great dog animal. But unfortunately, out of the three boys I have, two of them have dog allergies. One has a cat allergy and some other allergies. So it's kind of difficult to have too many dogs and cats right now. We're hoping that they grow out of it. But whenever we go anywhere where there's like cats or dogs, we give them like the kids Zyrtec just so that they don't have symptoms and things like that. But unfortunately, so we do have a beta fish named Midnight. So there's a fish tank and it's Midnight because it's this really cool black and bluish sort of like dark beta. So cool. it's been alive for 6 months. So that's a good thing because I've had others
6 months.
That, but,
wow.
Yeah. So
does it fight the screen when you put your finger into the tank?
It's actually pretty good so far, and there's a snail in there too. So it's Midnight and Lightning. So Lightning is the snail. Midnight is that was named by my son Owen. So
I love
it. They wanted to call it Fish, or for a while when they were younger, they were calling it Shish. I'm like, let's call it something else. Like, it's dark, and then Owen's like, oh, Midnight. It's like, oh, that's really good. Okay, I like
Oh
that.
my God, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
you should look at maybe like a Labradoodle or something like that, maybe.
Yeah,
Because they're supposed to be like low allergen,
my sister
whatever
has
it
three
is.
of them.
it is if you've got the hair and dander, but unfortunately there are two
Uh,
tests, and one is saliva and the other one is
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
So, and they test
mm,
hit on both of those. So
Oh,
that's the only
ouch.
downside. So yeah, it was open. One time, my
Oh,
son
that's
Harrison. One time, my
sad.
wife was out walking, and a stray dog was the coolest thing in the world. But it was a friendly dog. Came up and licked him. He immediately blew up. His whole like face
oh,
side
Oh
like came in,
no.
and she gave him immediately Allegra. And it wasn't. He didn't have any suffering of like breathing or anything like that. But he like his face blew up. So it's like
Oh
it's not something that's a good thing yet. So we've kind
man.
of been struggling with some allergies and stuff. But hopefully that they get through. Now, when Sadie comes over, they're not too bad. After a while, they start getting a little bit of the sniffles and stuff because the Zyrtec will help with that. But
Sure.
but she's not like licking the crap out of them either. We try and avoid that if we can. So yeah,
That's cool.
someday though, we hope though.
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
I
All right. Yeah.
I have two dogs. They're lab mixes. One's a Rottweiler lab mix. She's all black, and now she's black with a lot of gray. She's getting up there in age. Her name is Clementine. My daughter named her that.
Nice.
And my other dog is my baby. She is I would say she's a beagle and lab mix, if you can imagine that. Maybe coonhound even. She has that big long tail, and her whole back of her body moves when she shakes her tail. It's the funniest thing. And her name is Piper. I didn't come up with the names. I got outvoted at the time. But Piper and Clementine. Yep. All right, Hazel.
Awesome.
What else we got?
All right. So
Read the one from Drafty, please, because I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm saving that shit for you because I
Come
had
on,
no idea
man.
what
I can't even say it.
the
Can you read it, ClearNite? Do you understand what he's talking about?
I had to Google that one. It's a Irish dagger basically, but I didn't understand to open my Dirk package. That part I didn't quite understand. So
His question for the show: is it weird that I use my Sigen Dub to open my Dirk package? I had no clue what he's talking about.
yeah.
I'm gonna say no, unless he's wearing a kilt. Or actually, I'll say yes. It is weird unless he's wearing a kilt.
Yeah, that's probably the proper answer, I think.
All right. That didn't count for my pick. I just wanted to read that one because he did put it in there, and I do promise we read all our questions. So
Yep. So, all right. So I'll ask this one here from Uncle Scumdeath.
okay.
Question for the show: if you have pork, do you like the crackling? I love it. It's the best.
Pork.
I
if
will
you're-
say yes. It is
yeah.
tasty. Yes.
If you're
So,
referring to bacon, absolutely.
I think he's referring to like the hard skin around a pork kind of
Oh,
thing. It's like
okay.
I think that's
Like a
I think
pork
that's
loin?
the crackling. Yeah, like if you get a pork or like a spiral ham where you kind of like either
yeah,
deep
yeah.
fry it or you do one of those things.
Sure.
There's that crackling sort of taste. Ironically, I don't like pork rinds, like the snack or whatever. I don't
Right.
like those, but I do like the actually any kind of like chicken, pork, any of that kind of skin stuff. It's quite
Sure.
gross and terrible for you, but it's great.
All right. I'll say one more, and then you can finish with the last one there, Hazel. This is from
Okay.
Uncle Scumdeath. Is it wrong to mop the floors whilst listening to your own album on colored vinyl? Love the show. Hey, dude, you do what you want to do and don't apologize. What you want to listen to is awesome. I love that disc, by the way. You're so hard rock, man. I love that. I love that you got a turntable. That is so cool. I wish I had my vinyl. I wish I still had it, but it's sadly it's all gone. What do you guys think?
That's what I was gonna say. Listen to what you want and don't apologize.
Absolutely, man.
So if you're mopping, you can do whatever you want to do. You can even dance with it. I'd like to see video if you can.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Nothing at all wrong with it. I hope to find out one day. I never will, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
All
Take us
right.
out, Hazel.
All right. Last question. With everybody spending more time at home these days, how are you entertaining the kids and yourselves? With love, Uncle Scumdeath.
What about you, ClearNite? Start with you.
Kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's basically keeping them busy, watching some streams. We now with the new house, we actually have a backyard with a fence that they can kind of run around and have fun. They took this the red wagon up to the top of the hill, and I was like, this can't go good. This is something's going to go wrong at some point. But just keep them active, like run them around. And it's been raining a couple days. We also have some Lego kits from Christmas time, so I've been kind of bringing those out at different points. So tomorrow is going to be a Lego morning because it's going to rain today. Tomorrow, I should say, or maybe I guess it is today at this point.
Right.
But we're going to do some Lego. So they're at an age where they're actually really appreciating and loving Lego, and it's fun. Really good at actually putting it together, and one all kind of helps. So we'll just kind of take turns. But you gotta just keep them busy. Like, that's the biggest thing is, entertained, and we try to keep them off of like tablets and things like that. But ultimately, when it's rainy and stuff, it's kind of difficult to do that at times. So you just got to keep them occupied. And with 3, they're boys. A hug will turn into a wrestling match, and then you become a referee. So our job is to keep the little people alive. That's basically my wife and I's job. She has a mug with that.
That's your job description. You got it.
Today's goal: keep the little people alive. It says right on the mug.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
How about you, Hazel?
So for us, what we're doing is, in our self-quarantine, we are basically shuttling ourselves out to the car, and we're doing Pokemon Go.
Nice.
Basically driving around doing Pokemon Go, like a lazy man's Pokemon Go.
Can you still capture them in the car?
Yeah.
Very cool, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Weren't they? I thought I read something where they were gonna, because of this whole COVID-19,
I heard about
they were gonna modify it so that you could do it within the house. Even I was curious about that. I was thinking about if we get to a point where it's there's no more Lego kits and stuff, I may actually end up bringing out like phones and start doing that, around the house.
Yeah. So far what they've done is they've only like expanded like how much stuff you get from your first like Pokestop and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a shit ton of stuff all of a sudden.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, man. My son really got into that with his friends when he was in high school. And that was pretty cool. But I do have an announcement to make. A small announcement, nothing big. But I was mowing the yard today, dying in 88-degree heat and suffocating on pollen. It's dry as a bone here in Florida, by the way, if you didn't know. And my son texted me and said, "Hey, Pops, let's play Division 2 on PC." And I said, "Oh my God.
What?
We're going to play Division 2 on PC."
Whoa.
Agent H and Master Maddie out there who love that game, talk about it all the time.
So wait. So you played it, or you will play?
We are going to play it.
So you will.
We will.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yes, and I promise I will have a review next week of how we had a good time playing Division 2. And if you
the only reason why he's going to do it is because of this conversation right here.
No, he texted me. I didn't plan on doing it. All I play is Destiny. And he texted me, said, "Let's play Division 2. You talked about kind of how you liked it and you wanted to look into it." And I said, one of my friends is playing it. He says it's pretty good, so let's go ahead and get it. And it has controller support, so I'm in. I'm due, man. I'm due to play something else. Now I'm probably going to go down the Division 2 rabbit hole, but I'll always play Destiny. But I think it's going to be a good diversion. I think I need this. I need to play something different. So
Destiny 2 is dead. Long live Destiny 2.
No, it's not dead. Destiny 2 will not die. So one other thing I did want to mention today, I came across this story today, and I thought I'd share it with everybody. This is from GeekWire. It's the impact of COVID-19 on consumer spending. Booze buying and video games are up. Travel, lodging sink. A Portland, Oregon area firm with data on tens of millions of credit and debit card transactions flowing into its system each day published a new report this week that reveals a glimpse of how the COVID-19 pandemic is changing U.S. consumer spending. Spending on beer, wine, and liquor rose 60% this week over the same week compared to last year. In Washington, the average transaction size at Costco went up 16% across all demographics and 35% among baby boomers. Okay, boomer. As the outbreak intensified during week of March 9th. And despite all the news about toilet paper and sanitizer hoarding, there was another product category where spending really spiked: booze. Other data points, video game spend is up while travel and lodging are down due to social distancing measures that put in place across the country. I thought that was funny. Everyone's talking about and we were talking about rum last week with Sin, and that just came to mind when I talked about that. So everybody's getting drunk and gaming. I love it. I love it.
And by the way, I mean, speaking of gaming, like how sales have gone up. So Sunday, or actually pretty much Saturday, I was like looking at maybe buying a Switch, and there were a couple things like that I saw. And then Sunday here in Ohio, they said, "Hey, no, we're gonna, quarantine, not quarantine. We're gonna anybody who's not essential, stay the hell home."
Right.
And I don't know what the hell happened, but all the Switches are gone now, nationwide,
sailed out,
gone.
Yep.
So yeah. That was Easy said he found a couple of used Switches near him at a GameStop, and I was like, wow, man, if we weren't in a pandemic, I would be tempted to, send you some money and have you send it to me.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can say
exactly.
it. I mean, that's one of the reasons when I got my Switch last year, I said I'm not a real big Nintendo fan, although I did do the Wii because, the Wii. But I did get a Switch last year when my son was in the hospital, I mentioned. And part of it was maybe I can play with him a little bit, like he was there. And yeah, we were playing like Lego World and a couple other things. And they've got Kindle Fires and such, so they can play those. But it really does help when you need to be more remote. And I will say it's a game-changing device. I mean, I really do enjoy it, and some of the games that are cross-play are really awesome. And I really hope there's more like Xbox compatibility, because there's some games that will cross-save across Steam now. Like there's a couple RPGs that cross-save on Steam, and then I think Witcher 3 is actually one of them, apparently, that you can cross-save between PC and Switch. That's kind of a nice thing. And then other games like Oni in the Forest, which is a beautiful game, and there's a new one coming out of that I'd recommend. But it's a great device for that kind of stuff. When I'm down at in-laws and stuff, and I don't feel like loading up the computer and stuff, and the boys are like asleep, it's great to kind of load it up, and they enjoy it as well, like Mario Kart, of course. So it's fun.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Well, hey, great questions, everybody. Thanks for submitting them. Just to remind you that we do put out a weekly tweet and about our guest that's coming up, and I've already spoiled it, I guess, right? It's Dadbod Link. That's who's coming on next week. So if you have any questions for him, if you're listening right now and you got a question for him, go ahead and throw it in our podcast questions channel in our Discord. We appreciate it. Okay, now it's time for our 2 picks for our Guardian Down Spotify playlist and now on iTunes. And, just a little sprinkling of what the 3 of us here like to listen to, and we each get 2 picks. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. ClearNite. What is your first music pick for our playlist tonight?
Sure thing. And I was making sure that there weren't things on the list, because I'll play randomly, but mine's on shuffle a lot of times. So, and I'll add your guys in there. And I was surprised that you didn't have any Linkin Park in there. So, and one of the songs that, there's definitely obvious history in Linkin Park, and it's kind of sad what happened to the lead singer last year and such. But, and this song kind of resonates a little bit of that topic. But I've always been one that, when I'm really stressed and frustrated, I'll crank this song, and I still get goosebumps every time I play it, and it's One Step Closer. Linkin Park, One Step Closer.
Yeah, that's a great song, man.
That is.
I'm surprised we didn't have any either.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hazel, you need to get on that, man.
Well, I don't have to now.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We got it represented now. All right. Well, what's your second pick there, ClearNite?
So since I'm a little eclectic, I have a lot of different changes in pace. So this is one that's a little bit of a different pace. And again, you didn't have any of this group on there, but it's my belief that Amy Lee is one of the greatest singers of all time.
Oh, yes.
And it's Evanescence, Hello. And I did struggle with which song, because there's so many amazing songs and people know a lot of the bit more popular songs. But My Immortal was one that I was originally going to give, but then I started thinking and I started playing this a little bit more this week. And I constantly go back to this song. Hello is just one of those,
Is that the remake from Lionel Richie? Is that the remake from Lionel Richie?
No,
song?
not at all. Okay. Not at all.
Okay.
No.
Just making sure.
No, there's this, the voice is haunting and the instruments, it's just there, and there's the cello that overtakes it, and it's just, again, it's a goosebumps kind kind of, and the piano that just kind of tickles and teases and stuff. It's awesome. And it's like, hello, I'm still here, and all that's left of yesterday, and it kind of like, especially now, it's like saying hello to everybody, just making sure you say hello to people out there as well. So it's kind of like one of those haunting, ironic songs, but that was definitely my second pick. I was originally going to say, "Don't worry, be happy."
Topical. I get it.
There's that, and then my mantra, like, "No worries," So I was like, "No, let me give you," because I'll listen to that. But that's a song that does get in my head.
Bobby Farron.
Bobby Farron, and there's actually a few remakes of that are pretty cool too. So, but yeah, so those are my two picks. But
maybe next
close to doing that. Yep.
Maybe next time.
That's awesome.
All right, Hazel, what do you got, man?
All right, sir. So, one of these is from Flip. He threw it in the Discord, and I listened to it, and it's like, damn, that's really fucking catchy. It's Sunday Best by Surfaces. It's a new song by a band I've never heard of before, and it's just a really catchy, kind of upbeat little song. I sent it to my wife, and my wife she was out walking the dog. It's like, I love it. So. It's been on repeat here in our place, so
Nice.
It's kind of cool.
Good deal.
And then the second song is Strange and Beautiful from Aqualung. I forget what movie I saw this in, or it was in a trailer or something like that, and it was just such a painfully beautiful song that it just stuck with me. And then I was looking through my old CDs, and I found it, and I played it, and this song was on there. I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, all right, that's my next song. It just has to be.
Very nice, man. Very nice.
Yeah, when I saw Aqualung on there, I was like, Judge Toll? What? So, for anybody out there.
That's where I went to, and then I was like, whoa, don't say anything. You'll sound stupid, Gator. Don't do it.
Well, thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I do it all
Way
the
to
time.
go.
I do it all the time, ClearNite. So I figured this is one time I wouldn't have to do that.
There you go.
I was gonna add some Childish Gambino in tonight because I think Agent H posted some of that, and I was like, man,
that's
a group I'd like to make sure is in our playlist. But next week, I actually
a group. It's one person.
Well, that's what I meant. Tonight I picked two brand new singles. In fact, both these singles, the album's not even out yet. The first song is from a current English post-punk band from Ealing, London, formerly known as Fear of Flying. I don't know if you know them back then, but this new group was formed in 2007, and after writing songs they didn't feel suited their former band name, so they created this group. And this song is from their very latest album. It's they have an album out called 5, but this is actually an extended album called 5 version 2. So I guess it technically is out. It's the band White Lies with their latest single, Falling Out Without Me. It's a very new wave song, and being a kid from the 80s, it's right up my alley. It's got a really nice bass groove too. Very, very retro sound. So
cool.
Even though it's a new song, it sounds very retro. I love it.
Nice.
My second pick, this is an American rock band from New York City, formed in 1998, and while meeting up in college, now years later, they're an epic band. So from their latest single from their upcoming album, The New Abnormal, it's The Strokes, which I believe JC Jesse's in. And the
toast.
And the
Toast.
and the song is their new single out called At the Door. It's a great song. It has nice syntho sounds in it, great vocals. But if you're used to most Stroke songs, they're kind of fast. This is more of a stripped down version of their music, and
cool.
it's definitely different than what you're used to hearing from the Strokes. So hope you guys like it.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we got a show. I think we're done. I think we got this done. This is another show, episode 35 in the can, as 30 and Still Gaming would say. Just a quick reminder that we do now have a Destiny 2 clan. I guess we can call this a soft launch for now, but we'd like you to be a part of it. I just love getting together with friends and raiding, playing Crucible like we just did last week. Overall, just BSing, have a good time. So if you're looking for a clan out there, we have a permanent link in our Discord under the channel GDC Destiny 2 Clan. And I'll also provide a permanent link in our show notes as well, wherever you play your podcast. So look for Guardian Downcast, and DOWN, down is our call sign. So thanks a lot. Well, Mr. ClearNite, thank you for being on tonight, man. We really appreciate it. I know with the times we have right now, everyone's life's kind of upside down, and we really thank you that you came out tonight and shared your life with us a little bit and hung out.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
It was a really good time. Yep. I know we went a little long, and that has been my tendency at times, but
you know what?
I appreciate it.
That doesn't bother me. I just like talking with people, and it's just hanging out, man. We're just hanging out and chatting. So I love it. So tell us your deets and about your podcast and all that.
Sure. Sounds good. I mean, one of the benefits of having ClearNite is I'm on all networks as ClearNite, and that includes Steam and Xbox and PS4 and etc. The only place I'm not ClearNite is on Twitter, which is ClearNite. Don't forget the underscore. So it's ClearNite underscore.
Nice.
And even on twitch.tv/ClearNite, and that's one of the things I'm going to be starting to stream again more consistently, and as I get myself settled in here, and so that's going to be a thing again because I enjoy just hanging out, and again, same like this, just talking. If anybody shows up, great. If not, then I can kind of look at ways I can improve, and whether it's Destiny or Sea Thieves or anything else that's out there, I'll play. And our podcast is Hoot Dawg Radio, and you can find a lot of our deets on hootdogradio.com. And you can find our Discord link, and definitely feel free to join if you're around and interested. And also our Twitter is Hoot Dawg Radio. And when we do sometimes stream, typically we haven't done any live streams recently, although I would like to get back to that at some point. Gunbait and I kind of did that a little bit for a while, and I did enjoy doing some of the live ones. It's a little more dynamic and it can get a little hairy, but it's actually kind of fun. So that would be Hoot Dawg TV under my Twitch TV. So.
And just to clarify, that's Dawg DAWG, correct?
Yes, it's HOOTDAWG.
Just making sure.
Yep.
People out there searching for it. I want to make sure they.
Right. Yep.
Cool. Mr. Hazel.
Oh shit. What's mine again? Hazel NT everywhere.
Nice. You can contact me via the Twitter @Todd the Gator. You can also find me on YouTube, Steam, and PS4. Gator, GATR, all caps, underscores in between, and Gator space GDC on Xbox. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, Castbox. Just found out about this one. And anywhere you get your podcast. And I just want to mention, Hazel, we now have listeners in Portugal. This is so cool, dude. This is so cool.
Awesome.
Seeing people listen from around the world is such a treat, man. So thank you, those from Portugal that are listening to us now. You can also email us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, and we're on Twitter @guardian_D_cast for show questions or whatever you want to talk to us about. We have a fantastic Discord as well. Just search for Guardian Downcast, and I'll post a permanent link in our show notes as well. Hey, everybody stay safe out there.
Guardians are measured by their ability to come back from defeat. So stand. Fight!
And thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian.
Toddles.
Bye.
Well, you guys ready to blow this popsicle stand?
Sure thing.
Hazel, you good?
I'm glad you finished that with popsicle stand.
I know.
So.
I know you were going to go somewhere else. That's why I finished it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, it was funny. My wife was getting ready to take my dog out. She's like, come on, let's go. I'm going to take you out. And then she pauses for a good 1 to 2 seconds. And then she goes outside. And I'm just were you actually going to kill the dog?
Gonna take you out.
And I told her, I'm I made the threat to the dog before, but I meant it the original way. I took it not
I've been working from home since the previous Monday. We pretty much, can do that, and not normal typically, but it's an option. But now the whole office I work at, about 15 of us in our office, we're all working remotely. So we do like the daily morning huddles on Zoom, and which is something I think a lot of folks have been using. We've been using it forever, but
Zoom's getting a lot of business now with the school system using it.
Yeah. My wife is a teacher, so
mine is too. Yeah,
and so she had to do a like a class thing. Like, how do you do a preschool video session?
How do you keep their attention glued? Well, they're used to looking at screens, I guess. You just got to make it like a game.
To some degree, although she did say it's like some of the parents were actually just as bad as the kids are like, show them what you did, show them what you did. Like,
oh wow,
okay.
Jeez. I don't know how they're going to keep their attention, but I mean, I've sat in on some of her video calls talking about teaching technologies. I always say that, and she gets all irritated with me. I said, honey, what teaching technologies are you talking about now? And she goes, stop it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Gator's going to end up missing one day, and
yeah. I'll give you a little insight into Disney bathrooms, as I know them well.